Okay, now they're beginning, okay. You're getting it now. Okay, all right. You can hear me? Good, all right. Thank you. All right. You are assistant sound people. Okay, thank you. All right, we will call this meeting of the Lowell Charter Township Planning Commission to order. Let the record reflect that all members of the Planning Commission are here. We have one that is late and one that will not be attending this evening. But we do have enough folks for a quorum, so we'll move forward with that. The next item on, can you hear me? Check, 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 check. Okay, all right. You're in charge of the sound. Okay, okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the Planning Commission meeting minutes. Hold on. That's my fault. Well, this may be, I don't know. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the June 8, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. Planning Commission members, you have had an opportunity to review the minutes of that meeting. And if they meet with your approval, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the June meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the Planning Commission meeting from June 8th as they're presented.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the June 8, 2026 Planning Commission meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The minutes have been approved. Next item on the agenda is any changes or additions to the agenda. Planning Commission members, do you have any changes or additions to the agenda? Having waited a sufficient amount of time and heard nothing, we will move on to the next item on the agenda. The next item on the agenda is public comments for items on the agenda. And if they're displaying the agenda up there, I can't see over my shoulder, but this is for anything that is on the agenda if you wish to speak to us. Now, we'll open the meeting for public comment. We ask that when people are talking, you show courtesy and allow them to speak and make their statements without any disturbance. We're going to request that you limit your comments or your remarks to 3 minutes. But if you feel that you need 5 minutes to make your statement, let me know, and then we'll change our timer to give you the 5 minutes. So with that in mind, we'll move forward. And again, we're talking about items that are on the agenda. The floor is yours. If you'd like to give us your name and maybe your where you live, not specifically, but you know, whether you're in the city of Lowell or in Virginia's Township or Lowell Township or whatever, that is very helpful. But go ahead and proceed.
My name is Nicole Rhonda. I am a resident of Lowell Township. I have an issue with the approval of tonight's approval of last month's agenda minutes. The agenda minutes are not complete. They are not detailed at all. These items, we had people at the fairgrounds until the gavel sounded at 1:27 a.m. Tuesday morning. I know for a fact that even all the people that stated their names are not annotated in those minutes, let alone accuracy as to what they said. I have at that meeting, I was appalled, not by the conditions or the reactions of the crowd, but of the board members, specifically you, Mr. Simmons. Your actions, your disregard and eye rolls, your disrespect, especially to the women speaking that evening, and this is a routine thing that I have experienced and many other women here have experienced from you on a frequent basis. It appalls me. It is not representative of our community. It is not representative of our values, of watching the board at that meeting. And who was taking notes? Who was speaking eloquently? Who actually made sense? There were 2 board members. And they happened to be 2 of the gentlemen from the crowd's view, the far right today. They actually were paying attention, taking notes, not being dismissed, treated like crap, not having our respect given back. You reprimanded us multiple times about our behavior that evening, except you're not doing your job. This community has overwhelmingly already stated that they do not want this data center. Yet you continue, thank you. I appreciate this. I appreciate these reactions because I know I am hitting a chord. I apologize. I did not say I will take my full 5 minutes. So I just see my 3 minutes just expired. So I have 2 more minutes. The disrespect of, there were many of us that stayed there till the end of that meeting. Yet 2 of your board members got up and left before the end of that meeting. This is your job, and you're actually getting paid for it. So we aren't. I sat there that entire time. I live streamed it that entire time. I continue to live stream. It's going right now onto YouTube because I had to take that initiative myself in January to start doing that to meetings because our board would not consider to implement that at that time. We have seen so much dishonesty, back alley dealings, lack of transparency that we have to take it upon ourselves to police the people we have elected and those that got appointed to our commissions. We don't get paid for that. You get paid to be here, and yet you guys can't, some of you can't stay or give the respect to the community members that we deserve. I am very happy with some things that are going on regarding our township board. If only we could do that with certain members of our planning commission, because obviously our planning commission is not respecting what the community wants, what the community needs, and what the community calls for. I will continue to show up. You guys told us to show up, and then you get huffy when we do because things get canceled because we show up. But you asked for this, and you aren't giving us the respect to show up for us. You're showing up primarily in opposition to us, and we will hold you accountable. Thank you.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Alan Alme, longtime Lowell Township resident. A few months ago, I sort of half-heartedly, half-joking, made the comment that instead of a data center, we ought to put a Buc-ee's up there at the corner. Thinking about that, I thought, that was funny at the time, but I actually have a better proposal, one that I've actually brought up to one of the Lowell City Council members. He actually thought the proposal was better than the data center itself. I would actually like us to inquire as to whether or not the aquarium could be put up there. The site they were looking at in Walker failed. I've talked to some people that were involved when they were looking at a place out in Muskegon, and it was determined that was too far from Grand Rapids. I think that it would be better served right off the highway. We're a farming community. We have Boulder Ridge just down the street, and I think by the reaction here tonight, the community would probably rather have that than a data center. Thank you.
Okay. Hello,
Yes.
my name is Gina Ladner. I am a resident of the city of Lowell. I first want to make a public service announcement. I discovered something today, and it was wonderful. Fresh, clean, cold water. And you can even put it in the freezer, and it freezes, and put it in your drink, and it makes it even better. Imagine if I turned on my faucet and nothing came out or something muddy came out. But what do you know? And I brought some here with me in case you want to give it a try. It is so refreshing. That's the end of my public service message. Thank you. I have several of the same concerns that Nicole had, and that's just not being respected as a female. I've seen the disrespect go to females of all ages, even the minors that come up to the mic. The minors should really be given respect because it is awesome that they have the courage to come up here. So everyone coming up here should get respect. I also have concerns about the two members who left. That was very disgraceful. Dr. Pay, for sure. I also have a big concern about the way we were treated versus the way Microsoft was treated. They had great big fans blowing on them. They had like seating. The whole row behind them said reserved. It was almost like, we're special. We're untouchable. You sit there. We're going to have the fan blowing on us. They got the royal treatment. We should have gotten the royal treatment from them, not the other way around. And I really would like some Microsoft representatives to show up that know what they're talking about. That's right. No talking heads. Yeah. If you are tired of us, and I'll be like Nicole, I'll be here all the time. Absolutely. If you're tired of us and you want us to go away, you can vote no. And putting it all in the hands of the board, and then we can address the board from there. You can resign. And you can apologize right here tonight to all of us about just this whole mess you've put us into. Thank you.
All right, I am Andrew Pleasant. I'm a Lowell Township resident. I live about 3/4 of a mile from the proposed data center. So my comments are to you, Dave and Mark, as members of the Data Ordinance Advisory Committee. I wanted to bring to your attention that the University of Michigan has created a best practices data center regulation guide. They've done this in conjunction with the Michigan Township Association, Michigan Association of Planning, the MSU Extension Office, Consumers and DTE Energy. And in this document, they've basically come up with 5 recommendations that are best practices for data center regulation. Their number one, which the other 4 seem to flow downstream of this, is that you don't do it as a general light industrial zoning. It should be a PUD or a special zoning ordinance. And the reason for that is that, A, we have what, $1.2 million budget. If we need to do ordinance enforcement, we're going up against $1 trillion company. And the resource differential there is makes it very hard to do enforcement. On top of that, once you put data centers in light ordinance, like the next one that comes in, as long as they meet all those requirements, they don't have to have like all the special stuff that Microsoft has done and provided for the community in their proposal. So the other sort of second point there, which I talked about last month, related to sound. Sound keeps coming up as a problem at these data centers. They make a very low frequency noise. It's like the bass, when someone plays their music too loud, that's what you hear. It penetrates walls, it travels a long ways. And their current proposal specifically doesn't regulate that the way they proposed it. It excludes low frequency decibel noise. So that's one that you got to do or should take a look at. Others were stuff all related to that and enforcement to those sort of things. So all the like the dark sky light stuff that got talked about, visual barriers, decommissioning costs, all that. By having it be a special zoning ordinance, then you guys they have to come to you, right? And make sure that they're meeting the requirements instead of you having to try to sue $1 trillion company for enforcement. So as members of that advisory committee, I just emailed it to the township today. I would hope you guys would take a look at it, peruse that, and use that when you're making your decision about this sort of regulation enforcement. So, thank you.
Thank you.
A little shorter. My name is Jen McDaniels. I am a lifelong resident of Virgins Township. I wanted to start by piggybacking off of the aquarium idea. I have seen that floated on Facebook, and I would love for my children, for my community, for my family that comes in from South Carolina last week. I toured them all around. I would love to see millions and millions and millions of gallons go towards that instead of towards a data center. Not only would it be used better, I'm sure they have much better environmental standards that they have to stand up to, and continuous monitoring that they have to stand up to, unlike the data center where all of the information that they're giving us is unproven and completely theoretical. There's no proof, and also I have not seen where there's strong environmental impact following up on what they have been doing to make sure that they're staying true to their word. The other thing that I wanted to request, completely separate, is regarding the meeting minutes. I would love to see notes within those meeting minutes about when certain members left, or in the case of somebody who has to make it late, when they made it in. I know at the top it says who is absent and who is present. However, if you are present at the roll call, that does not mean that you are present for a minute of the public discussion. And as a follow-up on that as well, I have called the township twice now. Called the day after the meeting, and then 2 weeks after that, to request information on how you guys handle, if you miss a meeting, or if you have to leave halfway through, even if you have to step out to go to the restroom, how do you follow up on what information you missed? Are you thoroughly reviewing the recording? Are you looking at the shortened minutes? Would it be better if we sent an email that you then have to read into the record at some point to express everything that we would like you to know and take into account? I have left messages with Jerry and have not heard back. He called me, I think, a couple times, but every time he answered, it just hung up on me. So I would love to get a follow-up on how you guys handle any missing data that you might have, any missed time, as well as, obviously, a whole bunch of responses to all of the questions that have been asked in the last couple meetings. And I love that comment that if you would like us to allow you to continue business as usual, I would love to see Maple Hill get more attention towards senior housing. I would love to see pools. I'd love to see more about accessory dwelling units, the aquarium. All these are great ideas to actually improve our community, to address actual needs within our community, not a corporate alleged need, something that they don't actually need and won't be around for 10 years, but things that will affect our community, our economy, our infrastructure immediately. So I would love to see you guys be able to affect change on those items rather than listen to us say, frankly, the same thing over and over again because you guys are not listening. So is there a way that is there a way that you guys can respond to the questions that I put into Jerry? Is there an email that would be better rather than me calling and getting hung up on when you guys call me back? If you guys could answer that at some point in the evening, or if I call again tomorrow, I think I spoke with you the last time. So if I can call and actually hear from somebody, that would be amazing. As a full-time mom, full-time worker, all these things, I don't have time to follow up constantly either. So I'd love to know. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gail Sykes, and I live in Lowell Township. My husband and I have 38 acres in Lowell Township and have had it for 35 years. So I'm a little old lady, not just the lady, I'm a little old lady. I know there was a lot of and a lot of questions from a very inflamed audience at the fairgrounds. We did want answers. You, as a board, said we would get answers back. I don't think we've gotten any answers back. That's my first question. When, how will we get the answers back? My second question is, you certainly have heard all the negativism about a data center and specifically the one on the corner. I would like to know personally, not what Microsoft thinks, but what you personally think and why this should happen. Your own reasons for wanting the data center. And one board member said, township board member said, oh, well, I know that there are more people in favor of it than there are against it. But why can't we have a vote? Because then someone's right, someone's wrong. And I think that it would be really good to have a vote of the citizens of Lowell Township. And I do feel the previous talker, there are a lot of ideas. I know as a planning board, you have to do something with that property, and I understand that. But I think we should go back to the drawing board and think about some of the better ways we could use this. So thank you very much for listening, those that did.
I'm probably going to take 5 minutes.
5, okay.
My name is Dave Porterville. I've lived in, my wife Jennifer and I have lived in Lowell Township since 1993. For the past 20 years, I've commuted to Lansing to work. We had countless opportunities to relocate. However, I decided to commute because of the outstanding quality of life available here in Lowell. I stand before you here this evening simply as a proud citizen of Lowell Township. I am a father, a grandfather, with a deeply rooted concern for the future of our home. I live 2 miles from the proposed site. Okay. When I look at my children and my grandchildren, I think about Lowell Township and wonder about the community that they're going to inherit. Okay. Will it be a community that prioritizes their well-being, their clean water, and a healthy environment? Or will it be a community that sold out its future to the highest bidder?
Yeah, that's right.
The threat of this data center project to our land, our resources, and our very way of life is not waiting, and neither can we. That is why the time for NDAs, closed-door discussions, endless debates, and presentations has passed. The time for decisive action is right now. Your constituents, okay, are demanding that you reject this entire project and you do it as soon as possible, if not even today. We recently attended the Lowell Township Planning Committee meeting, and it was obvious that the committee's charge of protecting our community and the way of life were top of mind. That is going on. What is going on here? And what have you been promised? And why are you ignoring us? Okay. If you vote to approve this project, you will destroy this community forever. I want to be incredibly clear about the movement standing before you. Look around this room. Look at the faces of your constituents, your fellow citizens. What you are seeing is not a political faction. This is not a right versus left issue. This is a top versus bottom issue. For too long, the people at the top, massive multi-billion-dollar corporations, have tried to dictate the future of local towns, expecting the families and everyday citizens at the bottom to simply accept the consequences. Make no mistake about it, Bill Gates is not your constituent. Okay. They expect us to accept strained electrical grids and drained water resources, the excessive noise pollution, and the loss of the community's character because they have the capital to ram it down our throats. Even the more developed towns and townships never have enough money. We can't develop our way out of this problem. We don't care what Microsoft has promised. You may be all Twitter-pated with the promises of enhanced community infrastructure, but I assure you that there is not one thing Microsoft can promise that we, your constituents, can't provide if necessary and communicated in an open and honest, transparent approach. Approving this project is the end of Lowell Township we all love. You were elected, however you got there, to protect this township and to protect our way of life. If you approve the construction of this data center, you will be doing the exact opposite. Our community has come together to draw a line in the sand. We have come together to show that the people have the power, not those with the money threatening to change our way of life forever and not in a positive way. This decision is your chance to prove who you truly serve. It is your chance to show all of us and all of the families of Lowell and Lowell Township that the deep pockets of outside developers cannot and do not buy our future. Make no mistake, approval of this project will cause irreparable harm and that could never be corrected. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that this project or Microsoft can bring to our community that we need that badly. The purported benefits of this project do not even come close to the disruptive and permanent costs to our way of life. Our nation and our community were built on three very simple yet powerful words: we the people. We the people. We the people are the ones who pay the taxes here. We the people are the ones who raise our families here. We the people are the ones who support our local
I believe
businesses.
you are,
I know.
your time is up.
Yeah. We
Wrap it
the
up.
people are. I'm trying to, sir. I certainly am. We the people are the ones standing before you today to declare our community is not for sale. We the people are the ones that will have to deal with the plummeting property values if this project is allowed to proceed. We the people are the ones who will be the victims of the cataclysmic environmental impact this data center will have on our community and our way of life. And we the people are the ones who voted to put you or the township board in office. We are your constituents. Microsoft is not. Show us
Wrap it
Show us
up.
that the people still
This
hold
is
the
your
power.
first warning.
Reject this entire project and tell Microsoft thanks, but no thanks. Please take your data center
Wrap
project
it
somewhere
up.
else. We
You have
don't need it
far
Thank
over
you.
your limit.
Okay, yep. Remember, this is your legacy. You're a legacy that we
This
the
is
people
your
will hold you accountable
second.
for.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this section of the meeting is for public comment for items on the agenda. No. If you wanted to talk about, the last 2 or 3 of you have talked about Microsoft. Microsoft itself is not on this agenda.
Says so, right there. Is getting you voted off of here? Is that one of the things on the agenda? Let's do it.
We're going to go through a orderly process for this meeting. Now, if you want to talk about Microsoft, data center, all of those things, that's fine. There will be a time to do that. In fact, it's here. Comments for items not on the agenda. And data center, Microsoft is not on the agenda as such. Oh, are you talking about the data center advisory committee?
Yeah, absolutely, that's who they're talking to.
We could talk about that.
I don't. I'm sorry, we're not going to listen at this point in time. We are going to listen to you talk about. We're going to listen to you talk about. We're going to listen to you talk about Microsoft and the data center, but not right now. No.
You know, folks, this doesn't need to go down this way. You know, it's, wait a minute. Everybody's had their chance to talk. I'd like to just say one thing. People want answers. I'd love to answer you some questions.
Then stop delaying.
The folks that are up there, I'd love to answer their questions. You know, the gentleman that was up there before.
Then why are you
What have we been promised? I personally have promised nothing. Zero. No financial gain, no nothing.
Then why don't you care about your people?
Anywhere. I didn't say I didn't care about the people. The township board has asked us to put an ordinance together. That's our task.
Then include your people and listen.
We already have.
Yeah, it really looks like it.
We have 4 citizens that volunteered their time to sit down on this.
The problem is
I'm talking. You're out of order. You're out of order. I'm talking.
Where's your data that
Okay.
is supported by ChatGPT or a biased opinion of Microsoft?
So if we're going to do it this way, go ahead and talk. We just won't respond.
Wow.
What's our choice?
I do have some questions.
Okay. All right. I do want to give you some information that may or may not make any difference to you or not. But in the state of Michigan, if an applicant comes to a township or a city and they apply to do something such as a data center, the state law says that once that is done, they've paid their fees, things of that nature, that process, they are entitled to go through the entire process, step by step.
Then explain your video actions from last meeting. I saw them, they were disgusting.
The applicant has the opportunity, has the right to go through the entire process, and this is one piece of that process, to the very end, where they will generally receive a response, an answer, yes, no, or whatever. So that's what we're doing. We're working through that process. We're not saying yes, we're not saying, you're all saying, tell them to go away. We can't. We cannot tell them to go away. That's against, it's against the law. So you don't maybe you do understand. Do you understand the process? Do you know everything about the process? You maybe. And you know I'm right.
like to point at me, don't you, sir? Freeze it.
What's the NDA part of the process? It's funny.
What are we gonna do? We're gonna let these people
Well,
just, yeah,
I'd like to answer some questions.
no.
Mark,
Well,
I've got some questions, Mark.
I'm willing to answer questions.
Okay,
But I want some respect on it. I don't want to have everybody hollering about it. You want to ask me a question, I'll gladly tell you what I know.
okay, Mark.
You know, if we can't maintain that, then we can just go ahead and listen to what you want to say. We'll write notes down, and then somewhere down the line, we'll answer these.
They are being answered. That's part of the package, is that these questions that have been asked have been logged, recorded.
That's fine, Dave, but I think if we don't address some of these questions now, this line is gonna come back up here again. We're gonna be here half the night.
Yeah.
I'm willing to put the time in. I'm willing to give you answers that I have at this moment.
You're going off a deep end, man.
Nothing's working right now, so I mean, I have nothing to hide. Nothing to hide whatsoever. You know, like you had said, NDA. I don't have an NDA. I can say whatever I want to say. And I think all the NDAs have been removed throughout the state. I know they have been at the township from what I've been told. There's no NDAs here. So you should be able to ask anybody on this panel or the township board without them being back behind this paper. That's all I know about that. So,
Okay.
you had the floor, sir.
Yes, thank you. Joe here. I live in the township. So data center ordinance, my questions are around this agenda item that's on the agenda. Last meeting, there was discussion from the applicant around draining the water at the site. Why would we allow that?
We're not gonna.
Okay, thank you. They hid this conveniently until they were forced to say it. Their application, they admitted, is 90 feet high. Are we accepting that?
I don't want to comment on that part. 90 is excessive. I agree with that. I think there's a medium point somewhere in there, and that's what an ordinance will do.
Okay.
So whether Microsoft pursues this or they say, hey, we don't want to mess with you guys, we're going somewhere else, but there'll probably be another one that may come in. Maybe the aquarium will come in. Who knows?
So on the scale from 0 to 10, 0 is not restrictive, 10's very restrictive on the ordinance. Where are you guys at on that range?
I want to be as extreme as we can be on what they can and what they cannot do. Right to A to Z, every I dotted, every T crossed. And that's
Thank you,
why
Mark.
that's why we've had, you know, why we're on this, and this is counting part of your minutes too. Part of me talking back to you, so just kidding with you. But the 4 folks that volunteered to put some time in, I was kind of like, well, you know, where are we going to be with this? We met on the 23rd, I believe it was, for 2 hours, and 2 hours was too short. We had a very good conversation. I think everybody got along. I've seen a couple of folks here. When it comes time, I hope maybe they might stand up and say kind of what they thought about the meeting, because I had talked to one gentleman that was there quite in depth, probably talked to me more after the meeting than I did, and he goes, you know, really, there's some things I learned here. And please, everybody know, we're not trying to hide, I'm not trying to hide nothing from you, and I don't believe this panel is. We have been asked to do the work for the township board to provide them with an ordinance. That's what we're doing. We don't have the vote on this data center. The township board does. And if it goes to them, and if you don't like it, one way or the other, if you wanted it or if you don't want it, then that's when they need to put a thing to vote by the people. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you put a vote up by the people. So all I know is I've been talked to about putting an ordinance together. That's what our job is up here, and that's what we're doing. And everything you're saying to us, you know, we've got tons of notes on this. And I want everybody to know I do respect everybody here. And yes, the barn thing was not real good. You know, it wasn't no good for us. It wasn't no good for you guys. But it's what we had to deal with at the time. The township board did not set that system up there. They didn't go out there and put a fan on the Microsoft. Whoever put that together set it off their way. We had nothing to do with that. We were just as hot up there as you guys were. We didn't have a fan either. But anyway, yeah, I think we appreciate everybody coming here, and please know too, we're not gonna try to shake this behind your back. Everybody feels that it has been, but when this thing is ever put up here, and I know that there's gonna be something major about this, I know a few people that are on the No Data Center Committee. I'll personally reach out to them and say, hey, you better check this, because I think it's something that maybe your group should come to. You have my word on that. So, with that, I think your time's about done, unless you got something else.
I've got one more thing,
Okay.
and this is fresh from July 2nd. So Microsoft is sued by the Mount Pleasant data center community, which is what Microsoft is saying they're bringing to us.
Right.
So, and they just built one building out of 15 there. So really, I guess my question is like, how are, you're saying you want to protect us, but we need to prevent this from happening here.
Agreed.
We don't want that.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Dave.
Apparently, we're going to talk about Microsoft and the data center. So get in line, because we won't do it later on. Then
Right.
This is your time. So we're going to talk about Microsoft and data center and any items that are on the agenda. And then later in the meeting, we won't talk about data center and Microsoft again. One time. You got it.
Unless you want to stand in line again and say the same thing. I'm here for the night.
Point
So-
of order, though, you do actually have to have your next public comment where it's due.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Since you were pointing at me about all the rules, you actually do have to listen to folks if they come back up again.
It's fine.
For items that are not on the agenda.
Fine. All right.
Right?
Unless you want to just do it all on the second part of the public comment and save you the doing it twice. It's
No,
up to you.
they want to talk about it. They want to, because the data center, advisory committee, that's what they're hanging their hat on.
All right.
You have the floor.
Thank you.
Maybe a name and kind of where you're from.
Yep, so I'm from Lowell. My
Okay.
name's Gloria.
Very good.
My comment firstly is for you. Until you get riled up, you're great until you get riled up. But once you get riled up, your respect for the people is out the window, sir.
Right.
Got to work on it. My next question for you. Mark, you pointed out, number one, thank you for being respectful. You treat the people with respect. Thank you. But my next question for you, you said you're focusing on ordinances. We, the people, say any ordinance above 0 is too many. So what I ask you to, look at what's going on. I'm going to say this wrong. I swear I'm a Michigander. Dwozniak. Thank you. The data center moved in across the street. I want to know what you are doing to promote and treat data center decline. It's already started with the senior citizens there. What gets lumped in with senior citizens? My child, within 4 miles, actually 5 miles, is this school. What are you doing at this school to protect them? Not just from the pedophile that runs Microsoft, the elite who could have figured out another solution besides this quick-ass Band-Aid he's trying to do. Lowell says no. It's never too late. You can clearly tell the people are pissed off. But how many of you have messed up in life? How many of you have said something stupid? How many of you have supported something stupid? And if you admit it and you fight for the people, we will accept you back with loving arms. That's right.
Mark, I have 2 questions real quick. So Rob Schroeder, I'm an
You
area.
got to get right up on the mic.
Rob Schroeder, I'm an area resident. You guys know that by now. Mark, I have 2 questions for you. You had mentioned that you would not allow Microsoft to drain the water at the site. Is that what I understand you say?
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
Does that include construction dewatering?
Now you're getting technical on me. I don't know the answer to that. That's gonna have to go through permitting process and stuff like that, but to drain the wetlands out there to build the data center, no, I'm not for that.
So I've experienced with Amazon in northern Indiana and now Microsoft on both sides of the site at Amazon. Construction dewatering will drain the wetlands. It will drain wells, it will drain pools or ponds. I have hundreds of sites. Carlton knows that. Greg knows that in his experience at KNR. You drain the groundwater, you're gonna drain the wetland.
That's a very good point. Then that's something that we'll have to take and make sure is covered.
Is the ordinance that's being created with the ordinance committee and the 4 citizens, thank you, necessary to have in place to approve a rezoning and a text amendment change to allow data centers as a permitted use across the township and light industrial? Do you have to have the ordinance in order to do the rezoning?
What's your thoughts on that, Dave? I don't know the quite steps on that, but I believe that we're not gonna do either one of them without an ordinance.
So if
in
you
my
don't
opinion.
have an ordinance, you won't do the rezoning, you won't do the text amendment change.
I'm sorry?
If you don't have the ordinance, you will not do the rezoning.
I think
and
it's,
you will not do-
I don't think that makes sense to take and change something of a zoning without knowing potentially what could be there and without having something in place to, to guard against all the bad things that it potentially could be.
So for clarification, you want to have the ordinance in place and approved
You want you to.
before you do the rezoning and before you do the text amendment change.
Well, Rob, I'm trying to be fair with everybody.
Yeah,
Don't back me in a corner
Well-
too much here because I don't know exactly how that protocol will work.
Okay.
I'd like you to ask me some questions on some other things, maybe like,
Why is the sky blue and why is grass green?
I don't have an answer for that one either,
All right,
so.
the question was though, do we have to have the ordinance in order to move forward with the rezoning?
That's a very good question. We could find that part of it out, but
Okay.
at this point, our task is to take and get this ordinance together. Bring it, the committee is to bring it to the planning commission. The planning commission will have it, they'll have public hearings for it. To present it to all the folks and go, hey, what do you think? Do you think if a data center went here, would this protect us in all these concerns?
So I guess my question
So,
is,
and if we feel that it can't cover us, then we're gonna have to go a different route.
so my question is other developers have come to Lowell Township to propose projects without needing an ordinance. This board, the township board, knows how the community feels. That ordinance has not been part of the process for other developers. Why not just bring it to a vote now and vote no?
Well, Rob, I think though on that, most any type of typical development already has an ordinance that goes with it. That's already in
Okay.
place.
That's fair. So back to why I came here to speak, and I didn't think I was gonna burn my time with questions. Am I allowed to short 1
Rob,
minute?
let me just clarify one thing clearly about construction dewatering.
Yep.
So, construction dewatering is only if the ground that you're going to build on is so wet for you to even put the footings in.
I'm aware of
You
that.
have to dewater. It's illegal against the law to drain a wetlands. Can't do it.
Well, you can
Okay, now
relocate
listen,
them. You
let-
can
please-
relocate them though.
Please that's in the law. You can mediate those. The
Well, and
airport-
I'm not for that.
The airport did it.
Thank you.
That's why there's wetlands out at the end of
Correct.
Seguin.
Yep.
Okay, they did it for M6. That's why there's wetlands at 76th Street and out by Burlingame. But it doesn't matter if the ground is so wet that you have to dewater it, then it doesn't matter if you put a Buc-ee's there or an aquarium or a youth center or whatever, you will still have to dewater. You don't have to dewater just because there's a
Correct.
data
I'm
center
aware
going
of
there. You will have to dewater for whatever you're putting in there. If you're putting in a place that has a huge parking lot and has storm sewer, like an aquarium, if it's gonna look something like John Ballpark Zoo and you have storm lines, you're gonna have to dewater it to put that in. So I don't want anyone to think that you're only dewatering because the data center's coming. You would, if the groundwater is so high, and I have no idea where it's at, okay, I don't know, but no matter what you put there, you would have to dewater it.
Would you agree that a 90-foot tall building needs deeper footings and deeper dewatering?
No, I wouldn't, because I don't know anything about structures. So I don't have
Okay.
any way. And then also, as long as we're answering questions, I understand the desire to put an aquarium there, but we also need to remember that this property is owned by developers. That has no water and sewer to it. So regardless of whether a data
Say
center,
it again? It wasn't zoned by a developer. It's zoned
no,
by
it's
the bo-
owned by
Correct.
developers.
It's owned by a
And
Christian.
so
It's
there's
owned by a
no
Christian
water and
development
sewer to
company.
it. So the developers own the land. The township, as a planning commission or board, can't say to them, put an aquarium there.
Let's be clear though for the audience, the Franklin Partners does not own the land. Barnard's Foundation, a Christian profit corporation.
Either way, it's
Just
not
for
owned by,
civics.
it's not owned by a farmer, it's not owned by the township. We can't instruct them to put something there. Just to be clear on it.
But you
Okay.
can control
I
what
know-
goes there.
We can control
Okay,
what goes there,
boys.
but we can't tell them, like in the
Wanna answer
instance
some
of a
more
Buc-ee's or
questions?
an aquarium, to say, you have to put this there. We can't do that. Nor, just like we can't tell anyone else that you have to put this on your property.
So back to where, so I'm not burning up too much time here. I reviewed the agenda. This is an agenda item I'm going to speak about. It's about the contact log that was created, and that's why I'm frustrated. I'm sure this contact log that's on that agenda and in that link was structured and created at the direction of Jerry and Monica. So I apologize if, I'm sorry, Jerry and Microsoft. I apologize if Monica or Hannah had a part in it. The log says you maintain correspondence as it was received. This is the printed document of that. It's a complete lie. It's garbage. It doesn't show what was received. You list those in favor as just that, in favor of the project. Every single person listed who was against the watered down was watered down by saying they had concerns. We're not concerned. We don't want this damn thing. We don't want it. The letter Caroline Hahn sent on December 8th was signed by over 300 residents in the area who were against it. It was listed as one line item as concerns. It should have had 300 names on it saying they either concerned or didn't want it. Why? To fit the narrative. There's no other reason for that. I personally met with Monica and Rhonda in January. I met with Jerry 5, 6, 8 times. Ashton and I met with Jerry in January. None of that is on there. None of it. Other people here met with township officials. It's not on there. Going back to December, you told us to email you with questions and you'd update the website. 7 months later, 8 months later, the township website's not been updated.
Well, Rob, that's a question for the township board. We don't deal with that. Come on, be fair about this.
We're not stupid. We see the bias here. You're expecting us to trust you and develop an ordinance in our best interest, and that you pull stuff like this that's on the agenda. It doesn't reflect what's happening. That's where we're frustrated. What's it going to take to change this? A recall where you guys get all get replaced? It doesn't have to go like this. Stand for us, not for Microsoft, and we'll all be fine. Change is coming. Change is coming to the township. How that happens, it's going to play out, but change is going to happen here, and we can't have this continue. Thank you.
It's okay, you're going to be able to talk. I want to get back on track. So if you want to talk about the data center, do you want to talk for 3 minutes or do you want to talk for 5 minutes?
3 minutes. Let's just make it short and sweet.
I
know my question.
What a guy.
For zoning.
Okay.
Why is a facility with this industrial scale power consumption, substations, generators, capacities being classified as a light industry? It should be a medium or heavy.
That's right.
Because it's 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. This isn't something that's just someone's going out there, work during the day and it's shut off close to night. And 90 decibels of noise. You know.
That's a good question.
This should be addressed because I think honestly a data center is medium to heavy. I'd rather live next to the railroad tracks than that substation.
Okay.
You know, Seattle has put a pause for a year on data centers. So, to study the effects. And we all know who's in Seattle.
Okay.
So, I didn't have to say their name. You have a good day.
Thank you. name and,
Mason, I grew up as a resident of the city of Lowell, and recently, a couple years ago, I moved into Virgin's Township instead. Part of that being the high cost of the water bill, but I noticed a lot of what was said here today, and I guess my biggest questions to you is like, I watched what happened to like Saline, Michigan, where they're just a small city and they don't have the power to fight against Microsoft, so they don't actually have the power to vote against it. What is stopping, like the other gentleman said earlier, which Mr. Simmons, you very rudely cut him off. I get the time and everything, but that man had a lot of passion and reason in his, you know, his ideas. But what is stopping Lowell from becoming run by Microsoft as soon as they get their hands into our pockets? Like I read your things online where it was like, oh, they're going to provide a lot of tax money. They're going to provide a lot of this, a lot of that. But as soon as money gets involved and as soon as they start providing that much money, what's going to stop them from all of a sudden controlling this board, the township, everyone involved? Like Lowell does, as he also mentioned, $1.2 million versus $1 trillion company. We can't fight that. We don't have the funding to fight that or the power, and nobody wants to. So I bet they're just going to throw in the towel and be like, okay, we're done. What is being put in place to protect us from turning into like Saline, Michigan, where it's just Microsoft now owns us. They have their hands deep in our politics because they're funding everything. And we don't want to lose that, so we're just going to say yes. Are there any policies being put in place to protect Lowell against those $1 trillion lawsuits, against stuff like that? And I guess that's just my question to you guys.
okay, thank you.
So, I got here late, so just point of order or clarification. So did you guys ever?
Could you talk in the mic, please?
Just point of order or clarification. Where were you guys I got here late. Where were you guys in the agenda before the comment on the data center started? Did you guys make it to the swimming pool or anything?
No, we wanted to, trust me.
Swimming pools are super important. I know we're all passionate about this, the reason why we're here. Okay. I know we're. Okay. Elvis is in the building. Okay. I know we're all passionate about this project. It's the reason why we're here. I am not in favor of it, but I also have quite a bit of experience with the organization and how things progress and go through. And I understand in the grand scheme of things, we say the pool is not as important, but it is something part of our community and part of what we're trying to build here. So I'm not necessarily saying that we go back and talk about the pool, although I would like to, because I find out what's going on with it. But I'm also trying to move this in a constructive process going forward. And so most of and by the way, my name is Tristram Harrington. I live here in the township. I want to get a clarification on the process and your responsibilities and how we can part of it. Because I understand you have a role, the township board has a role, and how that all works together. So if I understand correctly, and you guys can help clarify this, is you are setting the ordinance because a business came to you guys with a proposal to say, we want to build X. Your responsibility is to evaluate that proposal and say, these are the things that we have questions on, these are the safeguards, these are the items that we need to address as part of this ordinance to say, if you guys want to have a data center here, these are the ordinances in which it's going to be structured. So you have, in this ordinance, you can sit there and say, nothing can be taller than 40 feet or 50 feet or whatever that is, as in any other building that would go in, if it's a hotel or whatever's going, could go in there. You're also going to set, what is the impact to the area, the land, wetlands, whatever those types of things are. So when you're doing this, when you're looking at this from this standpoint, then what items are you considering or evaluating that we can direct our comments to be most effective in that discussion and in setting that ordinance? Because I think that's where we really want to go with part of this, because I understand a lot of the other things, what we don't like about the data center, what, you know, what we think should be happening in the other meetings, how we feel disenfranchised, pushed aside, being bullied by Microsoft in their deep pockets, et cetera, those types of things. All that passion is in here. What I'm trying to do is make sure I understand and can direct my passion towards what are you guys doing and what safeguards are we putting in place, or questions or concerns, so that when you guys build out that ordinance, we know all of our concerns have been taken in consideration and have been addressed in that ordinance, so that we can sit there and say, these are the safeguards we want, these are the protections we're expecting, these are the things, our concerns. And so that way it makes us more effective, makes you more effective, and then when we have our meeting with the township board, we can say, we were here, we want these, you know, these are our concerns, these are, you know, what's going on. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Just very briefly and very high level, what this ordinance is going to do is, it has to do with, let's say, setbacks. In other words, buildings have to be set back from roads or property lines so many yards or feet or whatever. The height of buildings, screening, berms, vegetation, et cetera, so that people driving by on the road won't see the buildings or something of that nature. All kinds of things related to sound. Sound is a biggie.
Okay.
Light is a biggie.
Right.
You know, we control that. You know, and that is all part of these ordinances. So in effect, what we're trying to do is protect the citizens.
Right. So if we were to sit there and say, we wouldn't, you know, the ordinance requires a decibel level below certain things, you guys could say, this is what's expected.
Yeah.
You know, so, okay. As far as now, as far as, and I'm just trying to figure where this gets discussed, as far as power consumption, water consumption, those, is that part of what you guys do, or how is that addressed?
No, that is, there's another development agreement.
Okay.
That's not part of us.
Right.
But that addresses all of those kind of things. Those are another safeguard, if you will.
Right.
And that type of thing. So, and I just wanted to let you know, when you're talking swimming pools, we're not talking a community swimming pool. This ordinance relates to just a private person's swimming pool. Right?
Okay.
I didn't know what you were looking at. Okay.
Yeah.
That's about the best I can do for you right now.
But I would like to add to that, that I understand what you're asking, but like for me personally, this planning commission, we're not even at that point yet. We're still learning. We're listening. We're still learning. I'm trying to do as much research as I can about data centers. I'm trying to talk to other.
Why did you vote in a moratorium then?
I'm not on the
didn't
township
vote for
board,
the
so I don't have a
moratorium.
vote on the moratorium. I'm on the planning commission and we don't decide moratoriums. So, but we're not even to that point yet.
Right.
So I know you're wondering what we're gonna put in place, but we haven't even put pen to paper yet about what we are gonna put in place.
Okay, so then what feedback should we be providing you that will help in that process?
I
Because
think
A,
we're getting.
we want to.
I think we're getting that feedback.
Okay, but you know, okay, understand. I just want to say it's direct,
We
because
do
some of
gotta
these
cut
comments you're coming back and saying,
What?
that's not us, that's
Yeah.
not us.
Sir,
Okay.
we
Well,
do gotta cut
not-
you off. You went about 7 minutes or so, but I'm not keeping track. But
Yeah.
what was your first name again?
Tristam,
Tristan.
Okay.
with an M,
Thank you.
Stam.
There you
Okay.
go.
Thank you. All right. All right. Very good.
Hi, my name is Nicole Beery. I live a quarter mile from the proposed data center. I just want to say thank you for addressing this. This has been since, November, December that people have been showing up, and I feel like, I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time you've addressed the process to us. So we don't know what we don't know. So I really appreciate you doing that. And then I think people show up and they want to know that they're being heard. And I think in 8C, the only people that were for it, I think someone did the research and only 4 of those people were from the township. So a vast majority are against it. I just want to know, like you explained the process. So is there anything that you can do to not allow, like if we don't want it, or you create ordinances and then they can still go forward with it? Do you know what I'm asking? Like, is there a way to?
Well, we create an ordinance, the rules. We create the rules, let's say this, and we present them to the applicant. And we say, these are the rules. Now, they have to say, okay, we'll abide by the rules, generally speaking, that type of thing. If they, and we create the rules, and the planning commission has a public hearing. Everybody gets a chance to talk about it and that type of thing. If we are satisfied with our ordinance, then we recommend this ordinance to the township board. They are the final authority, and they are the ones that do the voting and approving and that type of thing, and it goes to them. Now, if they like what we've recommended, then they'll approve it. If they don't like what we've recommended, they'll maybe send it back and that type of thing. That's kind of how that all works, So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question totally, but so this is our job, is to create this ordinance. We do have this advisory committee. There are 4 citizens that are on that committee. And so, again, we're working our way through building an ordinance. In other words, how tall can the buildings be? How loud can the noise be? How far back from the roads do the buildings have to be set, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's a ton of stuff. Okay.
She has the floor, sir, sorry.
I have 2 more things. One, since we're talking about the data center, I'm just going to not come back up later to save you time. The noise, we have a lake house, and the neighbor is older, and they have this like bug repellent thing that just makes this high-pitched noise that they can't hear. And we can, and it's just how the ears, it's nothing, I'm going to get there, it's fine. But I called our township, it's Hope Township down by Hastings, and asked, and like, there's nothing that can be done because the decibel is below, but it's the most asinine noise I can. So that's my concern. The low pitch and the high pitch are not they're not in the ordinance. So I really ask, because living so close and the lower pitch noises do go through walls, I really ask that you take that into concern. And my other comment is to the people, you can still reach out. They don't do the moratorium, but I do ask you to reach out to the township board and ask them to reconsider that.
I just have one quick comment because I was up here earlier. I'll probably be less than a minute. Mr. Batchelor, I just want to say that I'm one of the 4 residents that is part of the committee. I am dead set against the data center. My view on that has not changed at all. I just want to say, in defense of Mr. Batchelor, he took a ton of notes. I thought he was going to write a novel and publish it after the last meeting. A lot of what he said is very truthful. A lot of it's unknown. We all agree that, even 2 meetings probably isn't going to be enough, maybe not even 3 or 4. I just want everybody out here to know, as someone who's dead set against it, the other 3 residents that I've seen at the meeting are in here tonight as well. I think we're all dead set against it, but everything they have told us so far matched what was at the last meeting for that group. So again, I'm dead set against it. Nobody throw anything at me. But I just want to let everybody know that they are telling the truth to the best of my knowledge from our last meeting. Thank you.
My name is Rachel Saylor. I live a few miles from where the data centers plan to be built. I would like to ask a clarifying question. You said that they have to go through the process in order for us to say no. Why do you guys seem so indifferent or perhaps for the data center then if everybody is so against it?
Because the law says we have to go through that process to get to the point. And I understand everyone doesn't like it or is against it, but we have to do our due diligence. Due diligence. Okay, we have to do that. We can't just say, we don't like you, go away.
But why
We'll
do
be
you...
sued.
I understand that, but when it comes to meetings like this, you seem to be almost for the data center. But
Well, I don't think you should, I don't think, at least speaking for myself, you shouldn't interpret silence as being for it. Like I said before, I'm still researching it. I'm still trying to learn about it. So I can't form an opinion because I think there's a lot out there to study and to pay attention to. And we're not at the point where we have to write this down, so I feel like I'm using that time. But I don't think you should interpret silence one way or the other. We're just listening. We're just trying to listen.
right, but this is one of the first times you've actually listened to us about this topic.
No, it's not. I've been at every
but
meeting.
really listen to us.
No, we've been listening the whole time. We're here, we're listening.
Right.
I don't think you should determine whether I'm listening or not. We're listening. But at the same time, since we have the time to keep studying it, I'm trying to study it.
Right. Okay.
So you're...
Yeah.
I'm not ready to do that yet.
Okay.
I'm not presenting a study. I'm not presenting studies on it. I'm still trying to learn about it. So I don't have anything to report.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Tischler. I live in the Lowell Township. I have one question and then a follow-up one. First off, with the application that went in, I thought the owner of the property had to be the publisher of that document, but I hear Franklin Partners sign that. So how is it that this is an okay application if the owner was not the one to submit?
I think Franklin Partners still owns the land, don't they?
I have no idea.
No, they do not own the land.
Look what we learned already tonight.
I don't know.
And then my other question is, you guys want us to listen to you and expect that you're being transparent with us. Now, I am the person that put in the petitions for the recall for the 3 township board members. The day that we went into that hearing, and Emily, and I'm going to screw up her last name, but Palacios was the attorney for all 3 board members. She works for Miller and Johnson and represents Franklin Partners. So how are we to expect that you guys have not been bought and paid for when the representation is coming from Franklin Partners, Microsoft, or the right place?
I have no idea.
Well, you know, Melissa, to be fair about that, you clarified it. You clarified yourself. That's those 3 individuals.
Right.
You know,
so
up here,
how is it that
not,
Microsoft is representing them?
well, I don't know the answer to that. You'll have to talk to the township board about that. That's their area. Our area is to develop an ordinance to protect the community, because if we do this,
Were
we
you
put an
aware
ordinance
of
together.
who was representing them?
It's not my ballgame. I don't deal with what's going on with the township board. This is my board right here. This is what I participate on.
Okay, but can you see where the public might think that you have ulterior motives in your ordinances? When Microsoft has put a finger on being counsel for the 3 people we're recalling? I mean, it doesn't look good for the board. It does not look good for the planning commission. That's the point I'm trying to make. What is the timeline for that? Do we know? Carlton, have you heard
For
any
what?
timeline? For the ordinance?
I can take a stab at it.
If you want to.
Well, you know, we're having a citizens advisory committee meeting tomorrow night. We're gonna hopefully meet for about 2 hours, talk about a few more things. We kind of challenged each other to maybe bring back some facts and some articles to maybe talk about. So we're gonna do that. We're probably gonna have a couple more. The folks that volunteered to be on this said that they're willing to go the long haul, which I am too. You know, part of Melissa, why I think on this ordinance thing, and I think why this is important, because if we do put an ordinance together and it is so, I don't want to say so tight it's unreasonable, but it is tight that it covers all the concerns that all the citizens in this community have. And at that point, if Microsoft comes in and says, all right, because they're probably going to have to reapply on this thing, because this Franklin partner thing and all that stuff, we don't take care of this thing. So I'm not telling you something, I don't have the information for that. That's all held at the township office.
Okay.
But we will get a formal application, I'm assuming again, from them when they want to come back and see us.
Okay, because,
So,
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
well, you know, if you want to keep going, you can, that's fine.
Well, like, when, I hope I don't step on, when Betsy put in for the moratorium, she was told she couldn't because she wasn't a landowner out there. So I'm still really curious as to why Franklin Partners was allowed to put in an application for property they do not own. And why is that a valid application?
Don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think that's a question we can answer.
Yeah. Board meeting will be meeting right here next Monday.
I'll
Ask
be here.
them. That's the question. That's the people to ask.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hello.
Three or five.
Probably 5, but we'll see where the ancestors take us
All right.
tonight. Great. All right, so Betsy Lopez Wagner, Residents United for a Healthy Lowell. In terms of my address, it has Lowell in it. You know, I really think one of the things that's really disgusting, and you're just gonna have to roll with me on this one, is that for a group of men who seem to be of sound mind, you all continuously say it's something you don't know or you don't have access to or you can't comment on. And I'm gonna tell you why it's problematic. Because you're in your roles, right? You were appointed. You were appointed to represent as planning commission members. And so you have some sway, right? That means that when it comes to this ordinance, you go back to the board and you can write them letters individually or speak up, talk to the news, talk to us, and you say, I'm in support of a moratorium. Let's do 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Why? Because we need to get this ordinance done. And we can't be rushed. If it's taking a member of your planning commission 9 months just to get a sense of where they're going on this, how are you expected to move so quickly and swiftly in the next few months? So again, these are the things that you can do. And you can continue to ask, and you can say, I'd like to know why Franklin Partners put this in. You can't say process is separate and then come up with ideas and notions around what the law says and that you're gonna get sued if you don't follow the law. You also may get sued if you don't follow this other course of action, which is finding out who's putting in these applications and why, and what are their connections. So again, it's really important. You can say it. You can say moratorium. It's going to weigh more because it's you all, right? What are they going to do? Replace you? Are you willing to walk? Those are the kinds of things that we're thinking of out here, right? Because this is not just about, you know, us all showing up at meetings every Monday throughout the summer, winter, spring. We're going to get into the fall too. This is literally about our livelihoods and about our public health and about our environment. And on that front, I think it's really important that you all know that Microsoft released its sustainability report last week. In that sustainability report, I'd love to be able to tell you some of the headlines around it because it's highly problematic. And this is the kind of stuff we need you all as the Planning Commission to come and say. Why? You gotta get up there and say, hey, did you know Microsoft came out with this? Here's where it's relevant to our ordinance. Because you all are here to connect those dots. We're here to help to reinforce them. So again, what is the problem? Microsoft reports a massive 25% jump in emissions. AI-driven data center builds drive Microsoft emissions away from climate goals. And the list goes on. And where it gets really relevant to you all and to all of us here and to all of our local communities, whether you're in Alto or Cascade or Virgins, we're all within that one community, is that you got Microsoft's Chief Sustainability Officer saying that she can't tell you whether or not she's worried about what they're doing with their carbon goals. Why? And she says, because this progress isn't going to be linear, right? She says there's going to be trade-offs, that increasing demand for energy, water, land materials is par for the course, not scaling fast enough to meet a demand. So again, we're looking at the interests of corporations over our people. And really, we have to think about this. Progress won't be linear. There's going to be trade-offs. I'm going to ask each of y'all to stand and say that Lowell is not going to be that trade-off. That's where we're at. So, you know, with all the heart that people continue to put in, whatever we come to you all with, we're going to need to set up some time outside of this. And it is to say, to celebrate the people who are part of this ad hoc committee, because they came to you all and they said they wanted to be involved. And part of being good stewards here means also listening to the folks that are hecklers in the crowd. It means listening to the folks that are showing up for the first time. And we often get a lot of that, right? That's what we got from the chair last month, was that people shouldn't be heard because they're frustrated, they're loud, they're mad. When we say by any means necessary, it's because the kindness and cordial has gone out the window. The invitation to be a part of this continues to be hard on folks. Why? Because, as Melissa noted, Microsoft's in the back pockets of folks. And y'all, you know, there's a saying in Spanish. It says, dime con quién andas y te digo quién eres. Tell me who you're with and I will tell you what you're for. We know who most of the township is with, and that is problematic. I mean, think about it. That is problematic to its core. And you all are by association. So that's where we're going to ask you all. Continue, please, to engage with the ad hoc committee, but stand up, make yourselves vocal, have an opinion, and have heart for this community. We're not going to be the next trade-off.
My name is Sharon Ellison. I live in the city of Lowell, so I have a different perspective. I wasn't able to give my meetings at the city council or my comments because it got shut down, but I have some important things. And one of the most important thing is water. They need the city water, and we need to let the city know that we aren't going to come to an agreement and give them the water. They need the water because if they take it from the city, they don't have to go through regulatory rules. So they want regulatory exemption. They can take as much water as they want, shove it in with the city water, and no one will ever know how much they're taking. So I'm totally against the city. We're working on an agreement right now with the township. We have an almost 40-year-old agreement, which is stressing the city out. There's 1,300 township residents on the water, 900 city, but the city residents are paying a monthly to share a service, and the township residents pay to share a service or right to service, but they pay it to the townships. So we need to, maybe if the township was willing to give some of that to the city, we wouldn't be so driven to take the money from Microsoft. Maybe our city manager would say, no, the townships are going to work with us. We're going to come up with an agreement. But if we don't, we need to replace this water because it's being so used, so overused. Our system is stressed out and we have no recourse. We've got to find something to do about the city water. And I don't want them to use our water in the city of Lowell. I want to do something that prevents it. That will stop. If we say no, we can't come to an agreement. The 425 goes away. Everything goes away. That money that they have promised, the 17 million, was just to get the line up to that site. The rest of it is between the township and the city to figure out how we're going to pay for the expansion. Well, I don't think the city residents need an expansion because we're kind of built out. But our neighbors do. We don't want to cut you off. We don't want to do something like that. We want to work together. But we want to work together so that maybe we have an option. Maybe we won't need Microsoft's money. Maybe we've come up with an agreement that that's not really necessary. And so we need to put the pressure on the city residents as well. I don't want our water to go out there. I don't want them to use us. They're hunting us. They're hunting little communities. That was one of the reasons, that and the tax abatement is why they're going through a city. They have to go through a municipality to get that tax abatement. So if we say no in the city, I think it dies. But we have to come to some kind of agreement, and we really need city residents to step up to our officials and say, no, we do not want that water going out there. So if anyone wants to come to a meeting, that's what, that's what I was trying to say to the city, and I'll try again. Thank you.
So, just to clarify, there is no tax abatement for Microsoft from Lowell Township. Yeah, but we,
They're not asking for the city abatement, but they're.
right, but that's the state, but that's not through us. She kind of made it sound like they're coming to municipalities to get a tax abatement. We're not granting them a tax. Yeah. The state already passed that law, so it has nothing to do with us, just to clarify. So.
Hi, Jennifer Stewart Dodson, Lowell Township. I've lived in Lowell Township for off and on 33 years, and I own 2 different properties in Lowell Township. I own one that's 32 acres, and I own one that is about 4 acres. So we pay a shit ton in taxes to you guys. And there's just a couple things I wanted to piggyback off of having come after that lovely lady in front of me. The first thing is you know, when we asked the city how much water they used and what the deficit was, they were still unable to provide concrete numbers to us of what that deficit actually is and the strain that is on that system. So my question is how can we solve a problem if we don't know how deep that problem is? And so when you're thinking about creating this ordinance, I would suggest talking with your comrades over in the city and getting some solid numbers about numbers of complete gallons pumped and what the deficit is, what the use is, because they're unable to supply those. And we can't solve a problem that we don't actually have the hard numbers to. So that's just, bonus info that I came up here with. But something I really think that matters is we live less than a half mile, maybe even 0.25 miles from where the proposed data center would be. And I have 2 children. They're gonna sleep right next to this thing. And our goal was to pass this property down to a legacy property. We just got an acre surveyed off to be a family cemetery. We were planning on staying, and my long story, but my father-in-law has stage 4 cancer, so we're kind of crunched right now to determine, like, are we going to be able to give this land to our boys, and are we going to be able to bury my father-in-law there if we have to? And so this isn't just coming from a place of like, I don't want a data center because I don't want one. I don't want one for the future of our town. I don't want one because my kids potentially could get very, very sick. And when you're looking at the ordinance, I have a question: is there a time frame in which this ordinance has to be produced? Is there a time frame? Because if there's not, and we're saying that we're still researching and we still don't know, take your time. Find out how long find out what it really takes to produce an ordinance that, you know what, is so strict that maybe they want to do their business somewhere else. Who cares? Like, and stand up for not just us, but stand up for our future. And taking a look at this, when you're considering what ordinance to produce, and I mean, write that thing strict. And something to think about here is that in the U.S., beekeepers have lost 55.6% of managed honeybee colonies, and that's from April 24 to April 25, and it's the highest loss that we've had. A 2025 study of nearly 1,600 native North American pollinators found that 1 in 5 species of bees are at elevated risk for extinction, and they specifically list, among pesticides, disease, and climate effects, they flagged data centers as an emerging concern for these bees. And as we all know, without bees, we don't have food. And so when we're taking a look at these ordinances, we need to take a look at the tonal noise. We need to take a look at the decibels that this is at and the subsonic decibels as well. And also take a look at what this is doing to cows, because there's reports out of Texas that cows are not producing live births for over 2 years when they're next to data centers. And if that's having the effect on cows and livestock and bees, what's it going to do to our youth? What's it going to do to our senior citizens? What's it going to do to us? So this is not something to rush through. This is something to get the exact number of decibels, get the exact frequency of tonal noise, and eliminate it. Say they can't produce it at all.
Thank you.
All right. This is Bronco Dodson. He's a citizen of Lowell Township, and he'll take 2 seconds. Do you have something to say?
Okay, I'm Bronco Bill.
Yeah, he's Bronco Bill.
And
Say what you want to say, baby.
yes, I know.
Okay.
Okay, so they'll her home and their land.
Okay. My name is Julie Octona. I am on the Data Center Ordinance Committee, and I read through the Microsoft application, and it took a while because I researched as I went along. I read lots of notes, wrote lots of notes. Also, read through the stuff that they gave us when we joined the committee. I have 45 pages of research I've looked up, and everyone keeps asking not to become like Celine. Well, this is how not to come like Celine, because they didn't do their research. They didn't return them down in a very good manner. So here's what we need to do. Stop shouting at one another and figure out how we can politely say to Microsoft, we don't think you fit here. We don't really want you here. Here's our rules if you do come here, and hopefully they'll say, hey, you're not worth it. So either we come together or we become the next big mistake. And that's all I have to say.
Very good.
My name is Al Roush. I'm a township resident about half a mile from this proposed data center. My question is, actually, people before me have probably already asked, but is there a timeline? Has Microsoft set a timeline, or do you have a timeline as far as when these ordinance must be presented to the township board? No, not really.
No.
There's no timeline on our part or Microsoft's.
Okay. I just wonder how many more Monday nights I got to give up because I got a grandson playing baseball right now, but I'm not able to be there. But I appreciate you guys being here and the abuse you take, but I think that you are starting to pay attention to us. The other question I had was, and actually would be to the city of Lowell, but the water and sewer that's going to run past my property. I asked Jerry Hale right up front, am I going to get stuck with a cost to help provide that? And the answer was no, Microsoft is going to take care of all that. So
that is our understanding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So other than that,
well, hey, it was Al, right?
Yes.
Al, and Greg may be able to talk more on this. The line, from what I have been told, this line that would provide water out to that property, whether it's a data center, whether it's a Buc-ee's or whatever it is,
right,
is going to have to come from the city of Lowell if they're going to have municipal water.
Yeah.
Part of how you control that is by the size of the line that goes out there. There's only so much water you're going to put through a 3/4 inch garden hose or a foot round pipe, whatever it is. So I think that whoever goes out there is going to have to toe the line on this water. You're not going to build something out there and go, hey, we need more water, because only so much water is going to go through that pipe.
Yeah.
So I think that, you know, the water, you know, we see all these things in the paper and about you know, these other data centers that are 1,000 acres. This is 200. So it's gonna be, well, now wait a minute. I'm talking about the water. I have strong feelings about if there is a data center there, it's not going 1 inch bigger than what that property is. Not one way or the other, period. Or I will walk away. I'll tell you that right now, because that's just, I mean, it's gonna fit that spot or it's not gonna fit that spot. The folks that live further down the road, they certainly is not gonna get my vote on this to make that thing any bigger. You know, whatever they ask for, we'll evaluate that. If it works into what we think the ordinance would allow, then we'll talk about it. If it doesn't, then they need to look somewhere else. And as far as on your line, that would be what they call a high pressure line, right, Greg?
That'd just be a water main.
Where you wouldn't have to hook up to it, nor I don't think the township or the city would let you because of the pressures are all different. As that water would head out there, no, you aren't. You're
Well-
not going to have to hook up to any water if the water goes in front of your place. There'll
I
be
think-
no.
Well, I mean, I think we should be sure here, I mean, we don't know what it's gonna be in the future. The actual cost, if Microsoft runs the line, then you don't bear any cost for the installation of the line. If along the way, if people choose to hook up to the water or sewer, then there's cost to that. But the cost of the line, if Microsoft chooses to run it, then they would pay that whole bill. And that's pretty common for a lot of developers and developments everywhere. That's
Well-
not something new.
The only other question I had, or a thought that I had, was that if you come up with an ordinance and you have the rules set, and Microsoft comes in and says, okay, we'll do that, and then does not obey those ordinances, what are you gonna do, fine them? They got deep pockets, they could care less.
If they can't abide by the ordinance, they're not going to be able to build nothing. They won't be able to start. They won't be able to start.
Now, he's talking about even after, but there's going to be, okay, we're going to create an ordinance that covers certain parts of this whole thing, this project, if you will. There's going to be another the agreement crafted by the township board that has financial penalties if things are not done correctly or if they violate. Okay, I'm sorry.
I appreciate you
I
guys
guess,
and the process that you're taking.
Yeah, I mean, we can't say, you
That's
know,
all I have to say.
I mean, Microsoft, whether they care or not, yeah, they're a big company, but, you know, if you, like, the big concern that we keep hearing is about water discharge. So we can write an ordinance that says you can't do that, but also the state has a say in that. So if there's a water discharge, then the state can also take action against them. It'd probably be a much bigger fine than Lowell Township could levy. And then with the state comes even worse consequences than with Lowell Township, but, you know, I mean, you have you know, it would be no different, if you put a Buc-ee's there, just to use the example we've been hearing. You know, if Buc-ee's discharges, you know, fuel into the water system, Buc-ee's is a huge multi-billion dollar company, and you can fine them, you know, $2 million, and it's not even gonna cause a dent. So, I mean, you know, it's hard to say.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
I hate microphones. My name is Molly Hilton, and I've spoken before. I'm a cognitive anthropologist. I study people's brains, how people think, their thinking processes, and the relationship between people's thought processes and their health of their brains and their environment, right? Their society, their culture, and their environment. So I've spoken before. I guess my question here for this committee, and I appreciate you answering questions, is how are you, or is it even within your purview to consider health and safety? I mean, I understand about setbacks, right? And I understand about basic electrical codes and things like that. But on a broader scale, is that something that is considered or that is in your purview to consider as you write the ordinance?
I'll be the first one. I'm no expert in that part of it. You know, and it's certainly, you know, that is an item on a list, you know, to discuss that. And we'll have to find answers from a third party person, not the internet, not Microsoft, not the township board. We'll have to find it through a third party place that can be held accountable for what they tell us.
Very good.
So, you know,
So-
that's certainly going to be part of the program of this.
I understand about, well, no, I have about this much understanding of reading of exclusionary zoning and the process and your responsibility in that process. You can't just withdraw yourselves from the process. I understand that there are legal ramifications. But what really concerns me is this bucket of health and safety, right? Because that is you cannot be sued for exclusionary zoning if your concern is health and safety. And as a cognitive anthropologist, that's my concern. There's a lot of talk. We use the word decibels when we talk about noise. I think that's common knowledge, right? That's how we measure noise. And that's important. And you guys know a lot more about decibels than I do, okay? But subsonic noise and tonal noise is where the damage happens. And I will guarantee the next crop of lawsuits against data center owners will be from dairies, with the effects that it has on dairy cows. Fortunately, not as strong of an effect on beef cattle, but dairy cattle, major problem. This raises very big questions for me as somebody who studies thinking and brain development about our children and the children that are in that area, in that very direct area within, say, 2 miles of the data center. And I also wonder, and I have no idea because I'm not a physicist, will some of these effects of these noises travel down the river, right? We know that noise travels down the river. Again, I'm not a physicist, but it's a big question.
Okay,
So does
thank
it
you.
expand that
So
radius?
that is, so that's a big question for me. So I watched I was provided by someone from the audience a link to a hearing in Lansing. And they had 2 women there. One was from the Air Force and the other was from a hospital on the east side of the state. And they were very definitive about tonal noise and what it does to children and stuff. But they are also very clear that tonal noise is everywhere. It's in the trains that go by. It's in the traffic that goes by. Okay, please let me finish. It's in the traffic that goes by. But what they never said is, what is an acceptable level? If it's everywhere, what is the acceptable level of total noise? They never said that.
It's true. And people bring this up often, right? Because it seems common sense. We have a highway right there that makes a lot of noise. I mean, we have
trucks
an
going
airport,
by, right? We have a
I mean, the
train
DeVos's
track
helicopter.
that you can hear for miles. Right.
Okay. So here's my understanding is that noises typically have a progression. There's a start, a middle, and a finish. Even if it's a gunshot, right? You hear it, it starts, there's a middle, a range, and it ends. What happens with the data center and the reason why this is so irritating for people is that it never stops. There's no progression. Right? So
But
it's kind of
still-
like Chinese water torture.
Right, and I understand that.
I
And
don't believe,
and
I don't know that
understand
there is.
It's the same reason dogs can start howling at a train before
Yeah.
you hear the whistle. But there
Right.
must be a level that is acceptable because it's all around us.
No, see, that's what I'm saying. It isn't like that all around. So when you're next to a highway and a car drives by, there's a shoom,
Right.
right? There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then the next car comes and it goes like this. And to your ears and your conscious mind, you hear that as one noise. But your brain separates it. Your brain hears that as multiple noises with multiple progressions. It is not in your conscious mind, right? And I apologize for that, right? I can't give you an example that you're going to hear it, but your brain differentiates it. And that's the difference with the data center, is that it's just one constant, unending noise.
Okay.
And what that does is it keeps your brain on alert. Right. So, all right. I think I've said enough on that topic. There's
right, well,
there's
thank you
one
for
other
that.
point or question that I have, or
Quickly.
point that I'd like to make, is there's an organization called Michigan for Responsible Data Centers that has been canvassing in Lowell, and they may not have come to your area, your neighborhood, but I think it's very important. They present themselves as being impartial and as providing impartial information, and they are funded by Wallbridge, which is the builder that will be building that data center around the corner. And I just wanted you to be aware of that, and I just wanted the people here to be aware of that.
Okay, thank you.
Hi there, my name is Haley Moore. I'm a resident of Lowell Township. I am a Lowell graduate. I have two kiddos that are either in Lowell schools or will be attending Lowell schools. And I spend about 25 hours a day thinking about the future, planning for the future, and trying to take care of my family and my babies. And I'm so thankful to hear that you are willing to learn and you're listening here with all of these people that have so much information to share with you. For me, I am against the data center, but it's hard for me to quantify the environmental impacts, the sound impacts, because this thing doesn't exist anywhere. No one can say definitively what it is. Here's what we can use, and this is what I personally use to make the decision about the data center. So the data center, Microsoft has said, is either going to be used for AI or cloud storage, and they won't say on that what have you. Well, AI is collapsing. It's a collapsing industry. Companies are pulling back usage because it is not delivering a return on investment. Tech companies put it out there and said, oh, use it, make it look good. The ones who are using it are the call center people. It's not the engineers because it doesn't work. It puts out faulty products and it leaves systems unsafe or unusable. So that's the AI aspect. As for the cloud storage, the largest increase in cloud storage is for surveillance. It's for flock, it's for data gathering, data captures on phones. It's for that stuff. And if you follow the Supreme Court rulings at all, Shatry versus US, it's a 2026 ruling, just came out. They ruled that data captures from cell phones fall under the Fourth Amendment. Police have to have a warrant for it. The next thing that could fall under, that the next case that we're going to see, because they're already coming up through the appeals, is for flock cameras. Flock is one of the top 5 people to rent out space from data centers, because it's not usually just Microsoft that's going to be using this. Anyone could use it. Flock, Google, Pornhub, anyone can use this data center if they're willing to pay to rent the space out from it, if they're using it for cloud storage or AI computing, because everyone's using it. So with those industries being under the Fourth Amendment, with the surveillance stuff, and with citizens and cities all over the place already closing it down, of which if you Google it, you can find a million news articles in the country and outside of it where Flock is getting hit with municipalities withdrawing their contracts because of misuse of the equipment. So if those are the two things that are going into it, what is going to go into this data center? What is going to make it worthwhile? Changing gears, Kellogg is pulling out of Battle Creek. They're moving their headquarters down to Chicago, and Battle Creek is seeing themselves as a funding desert. Kellogg was the big funder of their schools, of their festivals, of all of their things, and now no one is funding that. They don't have a way to fund all of these things that they had because this wasn't something that was they weren't given a 5-year plan for, we're going to slowly move out and this is how we're going to do this and we're going to make sure that everything is okay. No, they looked at their bottom line. They said, you know what, you guys went on strike, you caused us issues, you called us money. We have no loyalty to you. We have no loyalty to this city. We're out of here. Good luck. So that's something else to consider. I'm a planner. I look ahead. What is going to happen when Microsoft says, you know, this really isn't profitable. We messed up. We're going to write this off of our taxes and sell this at a loss, and you guys can figure it out, which leads us to the next point. We don't know what this thing is going to do while it's in operation. We really don't because it doesn't exist yet. However, we do know what happens when industries decide to take liberties with what they're going to do with the land that they're on. Looking up at Rockford and Belmont, Wolverine fights every PFAS hotspot that comes up. Every time that a well tests positive, they say, oh no, it wasn't us. We only dumped over here. Yeah, it's upriver from you guys. It's not us. And they fight every time. And they are a shining example of a company that's been held responsible. If you look at water issues in Michigan, you get the Flint water crisis and you get Wolverine and the PFAS issues. And if you look at it, Wolverine has paid more percentage-wise for the damage that they've done than any other place almost in the country. There are a few places that are more so, but they had much larger contaminations. And that's very unusual. So when Microsoft pulls out of this thing and decides that, we just dumped a little bit of PFAS in the watershed. Don't worry, it's okay. We cleaned out the wetlands, so it shouldn't go anywhere. What are we going to do about it? Who's going to challenge them? Because every time that we find an issue, every time that it pops up in a local well, we put the school across the street where Heidi's does their cornfield and such, and all of a sudden the school has PFAS issues. What are we going to do about it? Because at that point, Microsoft will have pulled out. We won't have any money. The township will be broke. So those are the things that I looked at to make my decision on the data center, because I can't say definitively that the noise is a problem or the diesel generators or any of that. I think it will be, but you can't say that definitively. These are the pieces that you can look at. And if you gentlemen would like sources, I've got a whole Google Doc of them. So my closing thoughts are, how can we get a hold of you to educate you on this topic that we, the community, have been living and breathing for months? We have the stats, the studies, the articles, and the testimonials, and we would love to share that knowledge with you as you are learning and listening to the community and educating yourselves on this, because you have said you don't have the information. We do. There are so many people here who have pages and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages. The group that put the moratorium together, the group that meets every other week down at the library, the Residents United group, Concerned Citizens, Greg Forbes and Rob, they have so much information. And Ashton, we have it. You want your third-party sources? We have it. We have peer-reviewed sources on this information. There are reputable news articles out there. Please, we are your resource. We at least can give you a really good spot to start from. Please, use the community. We want this, and we want to help you get to this decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Johnson, and I live in the Ada Township. I'm right across the street from the Virgins Township. Kids went to Lowell schools, so this is my community. Just a couple points that I wanted to mention. And it's just a crying shame that the 6-month moratorium did not go through. Carlton, I was just devastated by that. I mean, that was the time that we needed to be able to kind of slow this train wreck down. That said, in that meantime, there have been so many things that have come forward in a nationwide effort to try to look at this issue more closely. And I mean, this is a national topic. Apparently Lowell has made it into the U.S. News and World Report or something, because we have fought this so well. And kudos to all the people that have showed up to these meetings. And I mean, it's been outstanding to have a small community like Lowell go up against Microsoft. So my suggestion, and just as I've been listening to kind of what you guys have in front of you, what the community is asking for, my suggestion is that you guys make this request so stringent that they are not going to want to come here. And as to the question of how much noise is okay, I think the answer is 0. So in my view, and probably in this community's view, this is not a compatible venture for our community. What they want to do is not compatible. And there's a woman, Erin Brockovich, she went up against a big corporation to protect a community that had been polluted. Why are we entertaining this venture with a polluter? It comes with so many complications. And then, like, why should we trust Microsoft? I mean, the corporate track record on, being accountable and doing what they say they're going to do is just abysmal. So people are not stupid. We're just like, why should we trust you? This is, and I regret, and I feel for you guys, because I know that the township, their track record was abysmal, and you guys are suffering the results of that because they were not forthcoming and with integrity. I mean, if the guys on the township had recused themselves that should have ethically recused themselves, we wouldn't be here right now. We would be in a moratorium. It's just really frustrating. And I appreciate, Mr. Simmons, your behavior tonight has been much better. However, I did want to point out one little aspect. The nice gentleman here in the blue blazer went on, and he was trying to make some good points, I guess, but he was never corrected. He was never spoken to in a rude manner, and yet you do still feel free to do that for women. And I think that the Planning Commission needs to have some women on it, because I schooled. It's not black and white. I'm not trying to be black and white, but women bring something to the table that is different. And the matriarchy that we, or I mean, excuse me, the patriarchy that we have seen in our culture and in our boards, it's a top-down kind of a thought process. And women bring the matriarchy. So the only two women, or the only two people on the township board that voted against or for the moratorium were the women. And that's because women form a circle and they talk to each other. And then they also not only do that, but they put the children in the middle of that circle and they protect the children. So that is what this community is asking for and begging for. So we also want good representation in your minutes. We don't want this narrative to be spun that, oh, these union workers, from Ohio came in and said they wanted to have, the data center, as though that takes more weight and credit than what your community has spent, thousands of hours. If you multiply the number of people and the number of hours, we have spent thousands of hours trying to get our voices heard. So that's what I've got for today.
Lisa, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
You say the thing about the moratorium.
Yes.
Okay, so if the moratorium would have went into place,
right,
in my opinion, we still would have worked on a ordinance for a data center.
Okay.
And
good.
So I guess I wasn't really following the moratoriums. Like I said, that dealt with the board, but
Right.
my directive was, with or without the moratorium, we were going to work on an ordinance, get the
Right.
ordinance
Yeah.
put in place.
Yeah.
So if the can continually got kicked down the road, or everybody just decided, hey, we are not having the data center, this and that and the other thing,
Yeah.
at least the ordinance would be in place. So I guess
And
in
maybe
fairness, we're not going to vote on this thing anytime soon, on any of this.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
it's going to take a while. So if you would have done a 3-month moratorium, what would that have really done? I guess, I don't know. I guess I find it hard to kind of, is that to kick the can down the road deal?
Well,
Or can we just work on this now so we get our ducks in a row? So if somebody comes back and really starts putting pressure on us, we've got something in place.
Right.
So
I
that's how I
understand that. I also, just out of courtesy to your community, this is pure Michigan. We are in the peak season of vacations and the beautiful weather outside. I would much rather be tending my goats on my farm right now than in this auditorium under air conditioning. It's just the courtesy of that and these endless meetings. So I appreciate that you guys are really wanting to put the work in with the Planning Commission, and we're just begging you to make this ordinance so stringent that Microsoft is going to say, hey, I guess we'll go elsewhere, because nobody wants them. And don't try to make it sound like, there's this big group of people that wants the data center. They're not here. We're all here. So anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You might as well go ahead and put the 5 minutes up just so there's no question. Mark, to answer your question, I think the moratorium is more about respect for the community, feeling like we've been heard. That's really what was so disappointing when it didn't pass. And we want to keep working through it, but this gives you that set timeline. I've heard tonight you say there is no timeline. I don't know if you've ever worked on large projects. When there's no timeline, shit falls through the cracks, okay? And things get missed. Typically, when you start a project, there's a timeline, and there's a plan, and there's planned milestones. And so I think what we're asking, and I'll refer to item agenda 8C, B, C, is develop a timeline. Communicate that with the community. What are the goals of meeting with the community on this committee? What is also the steps in the process? Lay that out for the community on the website. Work with the township. I know that you're a different board. You're a committee, a subcommittee, but we're all trying to work together. So I'm kind of overhearing that, well, that's them and this is us. We're one community and we all need to be on the same page on this. But to continue off of Lisa's point,
You teed that up for me very well. Item agenda 8C. I did review that list of communications, and I have concerns regarding kind of the transparency. Rob had mentioned that there was one email communication listed with data center concerns that contained over 300 signatures. That skews the data a little bit. There were approximately 158 communications listed on that list before the 300 individual names. With 300 individual names, that bumps that up to 458 communications. 46 people out of that list were in support of a data center. That's approximately 29%. That was taken off of the 158, not the 458. There were 17 other communications in there that it was unclear what the concern was. And then 95 out of, again, the 158 number, or 395, which would represent over 86% of the communications, including the 300, were listed as concerns. And so if you're going to include this information in the agenda and in the agenda packet, I know maybe you're not the ones responsible for putting it together, but we would appreciate accurate, complete information in the agenda as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me get up my. All right. I'm here to talk about specifically lighting. So I'm from the Veen Observatory, just about. I don't know if you're members or if you just visit there, but I'm glad to hear all the applause. So going to, first of all, it was listed in the ordinance as, light industrial, which was one concern. Another thing, lighting has a similar thing, you have different lighting zones from 0 to 5. Where is it right now? In terms of what you would allow for dark sky areas. Do you know?
What is that question? What do you ask?
Where would you want?
He wants to know if we've set a standard for
Yeah,
lighting.
where would the
The
standard
answer's
be?
not yet.
Okay.
We intend to address lighting. It's very important. Night lighting, night skies. And in fact, what is the name of that organization? Something to do with
GRAAA? Or dark sky. Dark sky, I see.
Okay.
Once we get this ordinance being worked on, we would love to send that over to Veen and have them take a look at that.
Absolutely.
And see if they got that. We have a township lighting ordinance already that has been put in front of the Veen Observatory before and had gotten their feedback on it, and they approved it back then with their consent. Of course, they'd rather have no light at all, but reasonably they could live with that because of the filters for the lenses and stuff like that. So you count on that. Once this ordinance gets put together, that you guys will get a copy of that to take and go through that. Plus, we'll be having public hearings, so just keep your ears out, and we'd sure like to hear your input on it.
Yeah, I understand. I guess I'm concerned. I believe it's on. Trying to think of the road. Well, anyways, on the highway, there's a billboard, and that billboard, even at the observatory, it's got a light on it, and that is enough to create light pollution. So, anything that's built there, Aquarium, Buc-ee's, or whatever, will create light pollution. And if it's anything like data centers, it will effectively put the observatory out of, we're not a business, but out of business. I work at the museum, at the planetarium, and this is slowly becoming kind of my future. So if anything gets built there, light industrial to medium, high industrial, I'm 18 years old. I'm thinking doing a career in all of this. That would kind of put an end to all that, which is, yeah. I don't want to move. I like it here. So, yeah, that's all I have.
So that's a good point. But are you saying then that the land should never be developed?
I understand that it needs to be developed.
So what if we put in a residential? What if we rezoned it 10 years from now to residential and it had streetlights all the way through it.
Well, streetlights, yeah, are a concern. The thing that's a concern with data center is that it runs 24/7. So it's not like they're shutting off the lights at the end of the night. Houses shut off their lights, but streetlights
almost
don't,
anything you put there is going to have the lights on 24/7. If you put businesses there, if
I
we put a
understand,
McDonald's in a hotel,
But
you're gonna
that's
have the
why I'm
lights in
coming
the
with
hotel.
concern. Like I know that it has to be developed, but I'm here bringing that concern. Even if the concern
I
has
see
to,
what you're
like,
saying now. All right.
I have to know that concern.
I understand now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please stay involved with it because we appreciate your input on it.
I'll be back. Yep. Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Hi, my name is Sheila Hogue. Thank you guys for taking questions and doing answers. I am excited. I will support what Julie Echtenau said because I've been doing research. You cannot say no. That's just how Saline Township got in this predicament. You have to create the ordinance. You have to build a wall as high as you want. And if they don't want to climb it, that's what we got to do, guys. And we got to stick together on this. No screaming, no shouting, all that. What is the decibel, do you know, on the fairgrounds limit? Because when they put that in, they put a decibel level.
55 dBA.
Could we not make that the standard for this? They wanted 85? Like,
Well,
could you say no higher than 55?
They wanted, see, that's the thing.
Yeah.
We're developing an ordinance and we might not have 85 dBA.
And since-
we might be very much lower than 85 dBA.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got a standard there of 55, and you can say, well, if it's continuous on like the fair that we only take for once a week or for 1 week a year, we're going to make yours even lower. And then, you can find the questions. I don't know. I've been looking to subsonic, but like she says, it's kind of the length of the subsonic. It's like it's a constant.
The
that's really-
subsonic, and I understand it. And what I think of is King Milling. You know King Milling?
Mm-hmm.
That sound is 24/7. Whatever's going on in that mill, I don't know. They have equipment because I know there's that and it's going on all day, all night.
I don't know. I park next to it. I don't remember it being. Am I wrong, guys? Has anybody been nighttime? I don't know. I'm
I've
going to
been
have
there.
to pull up there again. I know during the day it is because I've gone out there during the day. But thinking at night, and I know right now it probably will be because, of course, we got wheat coming in. So that may be the day-night thing. But we parked there for a dance, and I went, oh, it's really quiet. So I don't know if it runs 24/7, 365. It might be as they release the wheat.
Whatever. But it's
Yeah.
And guess what? There are homes all over there, just across the street.
But what's the level of that?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we got to find out.
Right.
Now I understand because I did go into and talk to a person on the board, and they said that they can use the deposit that Microsoft made to do research with. So are you guys going to go make some field trips? Are you going to have some people come in and do some studies independently with that money or what?
That is going to be used for studies.
Okay.
That I know of, and there might be other things. The township board controls the money and that type of thing. But yeah, I know that they are, and they're getting, and already have on board experts. In other words, Microsoft is going to present something with numbers and figures and that kind of thing. We've got people that will look at their numbers and figures and say
So you're
they
going to
either
get
make
independent
sense or they
agent.
don't.
Okay, so you're going to get an independent agency to come in and say that's truth or fiction. Okay, and then what happens in the recourse of things as we go down the road. I think in the proposal it talked about them monitoring themselves. Well, we know that doesn't work. That's like giving a kid an iPad and saying, now just play with it for 30 minutes. You
Okay.
might as well just talk to the wall.
Okay.
So
I don't know
in the
where-
ordinance, can we,
I don't know where, I haven't read anything that they've put out that they're gonna self-monitor.
I don't
Maybe I
know,
missed it. though.
maybe it was in the
I think there's-
papers, not the,
Yeah, I don't, everything that I've read anyway is that their plan is to comply.
okay.
With ordinances and laws
All right.
and stuff. I don't.
And my last question here is, when they don't comply, then, because I'm out of time, is there a way we can say, it's not just a fine, we're gonna have you shut down? Like, until you comply?
I don't know. I do
Okay,
not know.
good question
I
to
don't know if
find
you-
out, because I
I don't know if you can do
understand,
that.
yeah, and I don't know what kind of fines you can put in place. You talked about the state putting in heavier fines, but I'd put the max you guys can put in.
You know, Sheila.
Oh,
The soundboard left. The soundboard people left.
On that, you know, the way I look at that, if there is a dedicated pipe that runs out there and they don't do what they're told, there's gonna be a valve in town. And as far as I'm concerned, you're shutting the valve off. And then you're really gonna get their attention.
I think that's a great idea. Maybe you can't, you know, you can shut down the power, you can shut down the water and just say, if you don't comply, we're all done here. The party's over.
We'll be taking care of the city will be taking care of the water part of it, so I think there'll be a little control over that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Kenny Beery, Lowell Township. I am another one of the residents on the advisory committee. Just wanted to give some notes on that first meeting. I thought it was a great first meeting. We had a 12, 14-page packet to go through, and I think we maybe made it through 2 pages because of all the in-depth conversation we were having, which was great. It seemed like everybody on the board or on the committee kind of had their hill that they were willing to die on, not in my backyard kind of thing with this. So it wasn't that somebody was 100% for it. There was not that at all. Everybody had their questions, their concerns that got brought before the committee. Really looking forward to tomorrow night's meeting as well. Tonight's meeting, with just the feedback, the communication from the board, the answering of questions has been outstanding. It's been great. I think as a community, this is what we've been looking for since November from both boards and haven't really gotten it. And it makes a huge difference just with the mutual respect and just feeling heard, feeling respected. So I really appreciate you guys for making comments back to us tonight. So thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Nick Canfield. I'm an Easton Township resident. For people that don't know that, that's over by Saranac. And a lot of people ask why I come to these meetings. And it's because it's not an issue of where it's at. It's in your own state. And it's something where I'm glad to see a lot of us are doing a community involvement and coming to these, seeing these meetings, coming to, going to the protests that we do. And one thing, if you'll notice, the demographics on that are extremely mixed. Usually it's a very one-sided thing. We'll say a lot of times it's red and blue. Sometimes it's black and white. Sometimes it's old and young. This is an extremely mixed group, and that is something that I think you guys should really take into consideration, and I think that you have. What gets to be, with the transparency that we've seen in this meeting alone, I'll piggyback on the last gentleman's comment. This is the best meeting we've had. Because we ask questions, you guys give answers. You ask questions, we give answers. That's what this is supposed to be. And you could tell the language in the room calmed down once that was really made apparent. We started having an actual conversation. I will, however, say, going through high school, I was part of the conduct of meetings team and Greenhand Public Speaking, did a lot of things, and political science taught me a lot about Robert's Rules of Order. And Mr. Simmons, I will tell you that you are to be held to a very high sense of decorum as a public servant up there. As those gentlemen that have been sitting at these doors all day long, you're held to a standard. When you meet confrontation, it's not fun. I've met confrontation with my dad here, and it doesn't go well. But you're a public servant at that point, and you need to hold yourself to that sense of decorum. Or else that's when people come in and We do recalls because that's expected. You're gonna see confrontation, that's expected when you take on this. Once things start rolling, you've done a lot better of going with the punches and having conversations, and I appreciate that of you. But I do want to make it aware that there's processes like point of order, we could have you held against that because you're not holding to that sense of decorum. With everything else that goes along with this, we do want to see our community flourish. We'd like to see all other alternatives. Some of us would like to see more of the business park be there, not see this data center there. And I know that's not your guys' thing to say that, but I will say when you're making your ordinances, let's check all our T's, all the boxes, everything possible, wastewater use, drain water use, runoff, because we don't want to be another Flint. We don't want to be another dealing with Belmont with Wolverine. We don't want that. If it's going to be here, let's make it good for our community, good for our people, and good for our children, for our future. Thank you.
I just want to make a couple points to what you said. So the first one is I keep hearing Flint. Okay, and I don't know if there's a misunderstanding about what happened in Flint, but Flint was a decision. The whole Flint thing was a decision by the city of Flint to pump from a contaminated river because they didn't want to pay Detroit for their water service anymore. The Flint thing was not the result, and it was a complete breakdown in terms of their inspection and the way that they built their plant. Flint was not due to any big corporate activity. It wasn't due to anything other than the city of Flint didn't want to pay Detroit's water bills, so they put in their own water line, and then they pumped contaminated water through it. So I keep hearing Flint tonight in relationship to a data center and water, and they are apples and oranges. They are not the same thing.
Into a water crisis.
It did, but
and that's, the
it
joke
did
used to be,
grow
don't
into
go
a
to
water
Mexico.
crisis. But it grew into a water crisis because just what we're trying to accomplish here, the rules were not followed. There were rules, but they weren't followed.
Oh, exactly. And that's
Okay.
one of our biggest points. Is
Right,
make
and
sure
that's what we're trying to guard against as we build this ordinance. So I just want to make sure that we understand that. It's because it makes it sound like, well, a big corporation contaminated Flint's water. That in the
No, that's not
context
how
that
that
it's
works.
being used, though, in the context that it's being used, it was a decision by the city of Flint, and the way that they did that did that. So
there's a lot of water issues that you.
there's
just
a lot of
group
water
with-
issues, but they have to be in context.
Well,
I think
okay.
the context is faulty leadership and water crisis. That's
And
That's the general.
and we understand that, and I understand that, and that's what, as Mark said, that's why, and then the other comment that I heard earlier was that when you stretch things out, things fall through the cracks.
Shit.
But actually, I'd rather not use that word, okay? But actually, when you go too fast is when things get missed. So I think that between the advisory committee that we have and the discussions that we're listening to, I think that helps us not miss things.
Correct. And
So-
then one thing also, excuse me, thank you. One thing I'd like to add also, when you brought up King Milling with that constant drone that they do have with the grain dryers, that's an accepted use. Also along with accepted use that we have as a community and as a country when it comes to water consumption itself. Is for farming and irrigation, things like that. Those are the accepted uses for it. The accepted, we don't really see data centers being an accepted use of power or of that. And you can ask the state of Virginia and the state of Texas why.
Right, but I think that the other thing, my second point was, you talked about, well, you'd rather see I can't remember, forgive me if I have it wrong, an industrial plat or a development in there. But, I don't think that we understand how much water runs off parking lots and how much water gets used by multiple businesses.
But those are accepted uses.
Right.
This one's not.
I know, I understand that, but you're using it, you're saying that in the sense that this is going to be better, but it's not necessarily going to be better, it's just going to be different. So.
But it's not, it's like accepted use practice. There's things that we have accepted as a use, and this is not one.
Well,
And
the
again,
data center isn't, but the impact
Right,
is
well,
still the same
The impacts
as.
are relevant because we use the amount of water regardless. It's
Right.
being used. It's just a
So
matter.
I just want to make
yeah.
sure I understand that.
Yeah,
So.
no, but again, thank you very much for tonight's meeting.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kerry McMillan. Live in Lowell Township. I just want to give you guys some stuff to think about. First off, the height of the buildings. You know, they come up, they say, you know, we think it might be between 50 and 90, depending on the building, how they're going to have to work. Well, a lot of that's going to have to do with what gets into the watershed there. You know, if they can't go so far out, they're going to go up. Okay, that's construction business. The thing I want you to think about is a fire. Does the Lowell Fire Department have the equipment to fight a fire for a 90-foot building? I don't think so. It's something to think about.
Right.
You know, that's going to be another expense. It's a whole nother training, a whole nother apparatus. So that's something I want you guys to think about. The other thing is the electricity to this building. You know, nobody's bringing this up, and I know that you have to, the Consumers Energy and the state and all that, they got all these backdoor situations going on, but how are you guys planning on protecting us from that? Because I said something about, at the last meeting about they're required to put up 90% solar or renewable energy if they take on the tax rebates that the state wants to give them. So where are you going to do this? I read now that they don't. What they do is they buy credits from, they could be buying credits from who knows? I don't know. China for all I know. I don't know. I just want to know, I would expect you guys to put something together to protect us, not only from that, you know, protect us from the state. I'm sorry, but that we need protection from the state. We need protection from Consumers Power. You know, the school had to pay extra money tonight because you started the meeting before 7 o'clock. Because Consumers is during the summer, we have the summer rates guys going. So, you know, I know that sounds silly, but we deal with that every day, you know, and quite frankly, I don't trust them all that much. So I don't know, I don't have any ideas of how you can go in, you know, they come in and say, well, we're going to pay this much money and have this all. Okay, but maybe there's some ordinances or something that you can, you know, get in there to kind of, you can look at it that will kind of protect the community. And like most of us think, if we make it hard enough for them, maybe they'll go away. But I do know the most important thing is to protect us. And so if you guys just try to think of these things ahead of time, and I hope that helps. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, I am public speaking, so sorry. I am Rachel Marine. I am a city resident and I also own a business in the city of Lowell. I did want to briefly share that comparing King Milling to the sound of an AI data center is like insanely misleading. King Milling is not loud at all. I have people fishing out the back window of my store all day long. I don't hear King Milling. I would say maybe on Sunday or Monday when the town is dead, you might hear it. But tonight I was down below my business fishing with about 14 children and I didn't hear King Milling once. So it is not the same as the sound of a data center. That's misleading to everybody. Second of all, Mark, I want to thank you. It made a huge difference how you handled your community today, and I want to thank you because it changed the entire vibe of this meeting. People were instantly, receptive to you. They felt heard, they felt cared about. I really appreciate you saying if it grows bigger than this, then I'm out.
because I can relate to that. You feel for it like us other community members do. You know, I own a fishing store. I have 3 young children that I am terrified to raise in a town that has a data center. The reality is a lot of our lives are hanging in the balance of this decision. If the AI data center comes up, we won't be around because I wouldn't feel safe with my children, you know? And so thank you for feeling what we're feeling, is that, you know, we would be out, like we can't stand by and allow that to happen. And I hope that you guys see how Mark has handled himself and maybe take note for next meeting, because it's the difference of like being a community and not. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hi, I'd like to make a comment in regards to King Milling. I'm 20-something years old, I won't disclose what, but I have really highly in tune ears as a professional musician. I do sound engineering. I do recording for musicians and bands. I live less than a mile away from King Milling. We don't hear it like at all in any of our recordings, nor do I hear it when I'm outside of my house. And if there is any kind of sound, it's not 24/7. I hardly notice it, and I think it's disingenuous to say that it's the same as a data center. Second to that, fires were mentioned, and another environmental impact that we have for our location specifically are tornadoes. Is Microsoft prepared for the event where a tornado rips through that area and possibly causes like an arc fire? So not only is there electrical fire, but there's also different aspects of what happens after tornado debris. I don't know what their plans would be for that kind of mitigation, but it's also something to bring up because we're in the Midwest and we've been getting a lot more tornadoes lately here in Michigan. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle, and I am a Lowell Township resident. I live about 1.5 miles from where the proposed data site would be located as the crow flies. My husband and I recently drove down to Dowagiac. We wanted to see what that data center was. Keep in mind that that's only a 34-acre site, single-level building, and this is what it sounds like. There are people that live directly across the street from this. We never saw a single soul. We decided we were going to drive around the back side of that building. There's nothing. You can't hear it at all because it's built into an existing building. You want 9 stories is what they're proposing? Keep in mind, Jury Hotel is 7 stories. So take this sound, multiply it, and everything will be gone. Thank you.
All right, now we're getting into repeat, so,
I'm just answering your question.
okay, all right, okay, Molly, I tell you what, the gentleman
Absolutely.
behind you hasn't had a chance to talk at all.
Might not want me to.
Well, no, that's all right.
So what
But
I got,
now, but the other two, Molly and the other gentleman, please make it brief, please.
I don't think we should do that. It's not, if we do that, the line's gonna form,
Okay,
we're gonna have comment coming further down.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Mr.
do it to 2, you might as well start the line again.
I don't want to start the
Then
line
I
again.
think Molly, can it wait till later, please, so we can get on to some other things? And sir, could it wait? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
oh, you leave me
All right,
standing there.
so, Mr. Green Shirt, you are on.
Well, actually, my name is Frank Leisure. I live at 2880 Pratt Lake, and like I told you last time, I've lived there since 1957. I was going to give the land to my daughters because I got the stewardship from my mom and dad, and it was going to be so that my daughters' daughters could go through the woods and over the creek to grandma's house. Okay? It's not happening. I know it. And I'm not going to wait until 27 cents an acre is going to happen. But I'll tell you one little fun exercise I want you to do when you go home tonight. I want you to turn on that frickin' vacuum cleaner and leave it on for 24 hours and see if you understand what the noise is going to happen. I live 2 miles from there, and literally the ground's going to shake and there's going to be noise. And I know I'm talking to deaf ears to a point. And you got to make these ordinances, and you need to listen to these people to make the ordinances stiff enough, because I think that's the only way to fight them. Here, I'm done.
Thank you.
Hey, Frank, I live less than a half a mile from you. So, believe me, I have concerns about this thing too.
Hi, Jeanette Stevenson, Lowell Township. I've got a few things I want to touch on tonight. I noticed that times were written down when each of the planning commission members that left early the last meeting. I noticed that was in there. I think it was page 8 or 9 on tonight's agenda packet. I'd like to say thank you to Brad and the planning commission for the swimming pool ordinance amendment. The concerns that were brought up by the public seem to be have been addressed. Regarding the public correspondence documents, those are phenomenal. Thank you for all the time that was put into making those documents. I know several people worked on those. I did notice on, let's see, page, nope, I'm gonna pass that one up. There we go, there. I'd like to thank the members of the advisory committee for the work that you've already put forth and for all the work that you have ahead of you. And regarding the public comments tonight, a few people mentioned that they liked how this public comment portion has gone better than many of the other township board and planning commission meetings have gone that they've attended. I'd like to share that I also like how the environment in this room tonight has been much more conducive and more respectful than any other township meeting that the large amount of people have attended. And I think I'll save the rest of my comments for later. Thanks for being here tonight. I appreciate that and all of your work in the commission.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dave. I'm a resident of the local Lowell area. To our friend in the Dark Skies Committee and who's concerned about light pollution in the area, there are many different things you can do per ordinances to reduce the amount of light pollution, including light fixtures that orient the light downward instead of all directions. So that's something I would really like you guys to look into if you decide to move forward on this or any other sort of venture in that area. Lighting should definitely be a big point.
Yep.
My question is for Greg. We've been doing this for quite a while, many meetings. I'm a little confused on how you don't have a stance for or against the data center at this stage, and you seem like you don't have understandably you don't have all the information, but you should at least, I would think at this stage, have enough information to decide where you stand on this. Do you not?
I do not.
Okay. Well, look around. These people have been coming to these meetings for months. They've been putting together all sorts of data sheets for you guys. It sounds like they've been sending it to you too. Why don't you have an opinion, or why are you not educated enough on this topic when it's your job to be educated on this topic to make a decision?
It is my job to be educated, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay. If I took as long as you did to seemingly not have a position, I wouldn't have a job. So you really need to drill down on the material, and you need to form an opinion, and you need to present that to us. Because I think the best part about tonight, as many people have said, you guys interacting with us and creating a dialogue with us has been very helpful. And knowing where you stand on this, and those opinions are going to shape how you move forward. And we deserve to know how you intend to move forward to either aid Microsoft in this development or not.
I'm just one member of this commission, so whatever
With a
comes out of
vote.
this commission.
With a vote and with a
with
stance,
input.
and are putting input into it. So the
Right.
community deserves to know that. But I guess the bigger problem there is if you don't have an opinion after 10 months of looking into it, maybe this isn't the role for you. And that's all I got to say.
I respect that.
All right. We're going to close public input and move on to other business. Next item on the agenda is public hearing. We don't have any public hearing. Unfinished business. Next item on the agenda is a swimming pool ordinance. The township, the planning commission has been working on a ordinance related to swimming pools. We've now crafted ordinance number 0226Z, which is our proposed ordinance. This ordinance, basically, the old ordinance that was in place, which failed at a certain point in time, had a lot of detail, a great number. It was like a page and a half worth of paragraphs and that type of thing. We've slimmed it down and we've made it very simple because it is a simple situation. We've created a definition for what is a swimming pool, and a swimming pool, hot tubs, they're all spa type things. Anything that contains water that people can get into is included in that definition. So basically, we then determined, and again, a lot of times we're concerned about, close to your neighbors and that kind of thing. So we created a standard to say that a swimming pool and any other, like the deck around it or anything related to it or hooked onto it or paved terrace type things or anything of that nature, it must be at least 10 feet away from your side yard setbacks and your rear yard setbacks. So it protects the neighbors on both sides of you and behind you. Now, normally the ordinance says that you cannot have a swimming pool in your front yard, but there's an exception to that. If for whatever reason the person that has the pool and they want to have it installed has a legitimate reason for not being able to put it in their backyard or side yard or something like that, if they work with the zoning administrator, the township zoning administrator, that administrator may give them an exception and say, yes, you can have your swimming pool, spa, whatever, hot tub in your front yard. Now, it has to be set way back. In other words, it can't be within 10 feet of the side lot lines, and it has to be at least 50 feet back from your front yard property line type of thing. But other than that, you can have a swimming pool in your front yard. That's kind of an exception type of thing. Beyond that, at our last meeting, we were talking about making the pool be 10 feet away from the dwelling. Well, and then we were reminded that, well, there are hot tubs. Hot tubs, a lot of times, are right next to the house. We've eliminated that. You can put that hot tub right up against your house if you want it. I don't care. Right? So really, all it is 10 feet from the side lines and from the back rear lot line and that type of thing. So, Planning Commission, that's basically what it all boils down to. Now, this evening, we're not going to make a decision on whether we want to recommend it to the Township Board or not, because we want to have a public hearing. And so all we're going to do this evening is make a motion to set a public hearing for our meeting in August. And if we approve that and agree to that, well, then we'll be talking about swimming pools again in August. Do I have a motion to set a public hearing?
I'll make that motion. I move to set a public hearing for Monday, August 10th, 2026 to consider the revised swimming pool ordinance 02-2026Z.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, moving seconded to set a public hearing for the swimming pool for August 2026. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? All right, So,
I got a couple questions yet I'd like to ask here quick, since I probably knew at it too. It's, the one of them is, everything below, 24 inches is exempt. Is that correct? Is that correct?
yes.
As far as you know?
If it's below 20, if it's capable of having water less than 24 inches, then it doesn't, this ordinance doesn't apply. If it's 24 inches, if the device or the pool or whatever you want to call it is capable of having 24 inches of water or more, then this ordinance applies.
Okay, and the other question I have is on, number 6. It's section 4, number 6. On the zoning compliance permit, that just means that just setbacks are right, or whatever. It says all swimming pools, hot tubs, or spas meeting the definitions of this order shall receive a zoning compliance permit from the township prior to receiving a building permit.
Wait a minute. Okay. All right. Number 6 at the bottom of the page, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. All swimming pools, hot tubs, or spas meeting the definitions of this ordinance. First of all, they go through our enforcement officer.
Basically, that would be what that means is a enforcement officer. You have to talk to the enforcement officer first.
Exactly. They have to bring in like a site plan and say, this is where I want to put my pool or whatever it is, and he does the measurements, and if it's more than 10 feet away from the side lot or the rear lot lines, he just signs off on it, and then they go to the
Get a permit to build.
building inspector, Cascades building inspector, and they really are controlled by all of this state rules and regs, and it covers electricity and water and siting and
Yeah, I
the
see
whole
that it's
bit.
got the building code as amended, so that
That's
they can-
exactly right. You're exactly right.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Okay. All right. So we have set a date for the public hearing for swimming pools. Very good. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is My Storage Great Lakes. All right, hold on just a second. Let me get to that. Okay, Planning Commission. We all are aware of the My Storage Great Lakes, and as part of that complex, there was a business there that was an issue, a problem, to say the least, just because of the upkeep and that type of thing. So what My Storage Great Lakes, who is the owner of that entire complex, I think they probably didn't renew his lease. Anyway, that business is no longer there. In addition to that, if you've driven by there, always in the past, that complex, their parking lot was all gravel, dirt, and that kind of thing. They have paved the entire complex, and it looks great. So they've gotten rid of the issue that was there. They have upgraded that complex with the paving, and they are interested and have initiated action to do a U-Haul rental, trailers and vehicles at that location. Now, the ordinance doesn't specifically say you can have a U-Haul at that location, but it does allow other uses that are very, very, very similar to something like that. And our ordinance does allow the Planning Commission to make judgments. And in the ordinance, item Y, well, let's go up to item V, first of all. What is allowed in that zoning district is the sale and rental and display of the following items, and it gives a whole list of different things that are allowed. But what is allowed is utility trailers, animal trailers, and similar trailers. Trailers. Then under item Y, it says, other principal uses similar to the above listed special land uses provided that the Planning Commission finds that the operational characteristics and the effects of such uses are similar to the uses listed above. Now, My Storage Great Lakes does have a special use permit. And what they would like to do is amend the special use permit to allow them to run a U-Haul rental operation. And one of my first questions to them was, well, how many trailers and vehicles are you going to have on that corner? Because I envision a lot. They said, no, they will have a maximum of 3 trailers and a maximum of 3 vehicles at any one time. Now, as I've driven by that location a number of times, they've never had 3 and 3. They've had 2 trailers or a truck and a trailer. So I don't know, but there is a maximum. And 6 units, if you will, can be handled by that location. So, Planning Commission, what I need from you is to know if you have any thoughts on this, because again, we're not going to make a decision this evening. All I want us to do is, if we are somewhat in agreement with this, is to set a date for a public hearing. What do you think? In other words, we have the authority, if you will, to be able to allow this if we wish.
But we still have to have the public hearing.
But we'll have the public
So
hearing.
I think we set the public hearing, get the public input on it, and then we move forward from there with it.
Okay, so you're kind of in favor of that, of moving forward with that. Carlton, you got any problems with that?
This is at, on the corner there where the Noon Tiger was and stuff.
You got it. Yeah. Right.
No.
If you have not had the opportunity to drive by it, do it.
I see it's changed. But
Oh, yeah.
So,
It's a lot.
no,
Public hearing.
Okay. With that in mind, I move to set a public hearing for Monday, August 10th, 2026 to consider the My Storage Great Lakes request to amend their existing special use permit to allow a U-Haul rental outlet on their location located at 13566 Grand River Drive, Southeast Lowell, Michigan. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to set a public hearing for August 10th for the My Storage Great Lakes U-Haul rental request. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All pays, any opposed? Having heard none, the motion passes. We will set a public hearing and we'll be talking about My Storage Great Lakes in August. Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is the Data Center Ordinance Advisory Committee. Mark, did you want to say anything about
I
it?
did. I had
Okay.
just a couple brief things. I think I've seen 3 of the 4 citizen people that were there that night, are here tonight. I'm glad they had the same feeling about it that I did. I think it was very well informing, and to hear kind of one-on-one what they felt in an environment where you could take notes and share thoughts. And I just wanted to thank them for being there. I mean, it's coming out of their time. They don't get paid for it. I don't get paid for it. I'm going to these things to help move this thing along. And it just shows. I think most of us are really committed to this community. So I would really like folks to, maybe give us a second chance, to take and say, hey, you know, let's continue this dialogue so we can go forward with doing what's going to be best for us. And I think this committee is going to be the best start for that. So our goal is going to meet tomorrow night. And like, I think Alan might have said that, like 14 pages of stuff, and we got, I think, down to the bottom of the second page in 2 hours. So once that gets done, then it'll be formalized and rewritten, and then it would be presented to the Township Planning Commission for their thoughts and their views, the whole panel. And at that point, there'll be public hearings that'll be held. So that way, you know, we can make sure everybody knows that, hey, we've got this thing. We think it's covering all the aspects of a potential data center. Give us your input. If you think we should change some things on this, then it's time to do it. So at that point, we'll take and make all these revisions. We'll probably have several meetings on this because it's kind of a major issue.
Right.
And at that point, once we feel we have a well-balanced and a very well-protected ordinance,
yep,
then we would take and present it to the Township Board. The Township Board would review it. Now, at that point, there's not a public hearing for them, right? Is that just regular action?
I think it's regular action. Yeah.
So certainly, folks, when this does get here, you know, we'll make extra efforts to make sure everybody gets in here to talk to us about it, to make sure we're not leaving anything out. And, you know, and like with, I think Molly had mentioned this high noise and low noise. You know, I don't know how to measure a low noise and how to measure high noise, but so we're going to work on getting some more information on that. So, but anyway, that's all I had. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, and hopefully everybody will be there.
Okay, very good.
I'd like to say a comment and thank Mark for stepping up and chairing that committee. So, you know, that's a big undertaking. And I guess my comment would be on top of that is this ordinance, in my opinion, is how we can stop Microsoft. We've got to have a way to say why we don't want them or whatever. So, in my opinion, this ordinance is what is going to stop it if that's the will of the people. So, but I thank Mark for doing his due diligence to put this time in to come up with an ordinance that, well, it can stop it if that's what happens.
Can the township override that? So, do we make any more comments?
Not this point yet.
We're past that.
All right.
Well, then we're gonna have another opportunity.
Yeah, I think we are going to have another go-round of public input. All right. Right.
Can I ask one quick question on that?
Was we done with what you wanted to talk about first before we start getting into the line?
No.
Just 1 second. Let him finish what we've.
I want to finish one more thing, then, yeah, get in line. But, all
I
right,
just want
folks.
to know what the process was, so thank you.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the item C, which is the public correspondence overview, the tracking log, and the compiled questions. Now, I just want to let you, people have asked, you know, well, I sent in an email or I sent a letter or this kind of thing, you know, to the township. Pardon?
Mike said his throat.
Is it dead? Boo, 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 boo. Okay. Boo, 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 boo. Okay. All right. So I'll tilt my head. All right. All right. So, but people have been asking about, you know, they've sent material into the township and where is it and what has happened to it and that type of thing. So the public correspondence tracking log was created to keep all correspondence received during the review process in one organized place. It is a list of questions raised through public meetings and correspondence. Some of those questions have already been answered on the Township Business Park web page, while others have been shared with the appropriate people and are still being reviewed. These documents will continue to be updated as new correspondence is received and the additional information becomes available. and it is part of the packet for this evening's meeting. There was a document called the Public Correspondence Tracking document, and it lists in chronological order, beginning on November 20 of 2025, everything that the township has received, emails, and other types of documentation. And it ends right now on July 7 of 2026. As more documentation is received, it will go on this list so that that document that is received by the township is not lost. In addition to that, they have another listing called the correspondence questions. And this listing is broken down in categories so that it's just not willy-nilly, but it contains everything that it has been received. And there's 13 different categories. It takes up 11 pages of questions and requests and questions that have been received by the township. What this means is they're not losing, well, hopefully they're not losing anything. They're keeping track of this, everything that you folks are sending into the township. So it's not getting lost along the line. Anytime you want to check on something, this makes it a lot easier for them to be able to say, yes, we have it, and this is where it's at. In other words, it's been answered on the website. It's been outsourced for somebody to do some research and get back to us with answers and things of that nature. So they are keeping track of your comments and information that's being sent to the township. I'm ready. All right, we're going to have public comment for items not on the agenda, which is Microsoft Data Center.
And I actually had questions about what you just went over. Is that okay?
Okay.
Sure. Perfect. So I have two quick questions. First of all, Jen McDaniels again. Is the information that you guys are going over on that advisory committee, is that public or is that just for the advisory committee?
Just for the advisory, well, just for the advisory committee for right now.
I don't know the answer to that, David.
Well,
I know,
I'll answer it for him. I'll answer it for you. It's private, not right now, because it's a work product. It's a work in process, you know. And whatever we decided at our last meeting might change at this coming meeting, you know. Yeah. So rather than confuse everybody, we want to keep it within the advisory committee. But then, when it's finally finished, as far as the advisory committee is concerned, and is ready to go to the planning commission, then it becomes public.
Okay, perfect. Okay. And then my second question kind of goes back to something you guys were talking about a while ago. Sorry if you can't hear me. You were discussing, like, there are certain steps that we have to go, that you guys have to go through legally. Can you either give a super high level overview of the steps you have to go through, as well as where we're at currently on that roadmap?
Well,
or could you direct me to a place where I could learn more about that myself? Because I know it's not simple.
No, it's like, okay, number one, an applicant comes to the township, says, I want to do this, whatever it is. They fill out applications, they pay fees and that type of thing.
And that, real quick, that can be literally any applicant, right? It doesn't have to be somebody who lives here. It could be, you know, somebody from Florida who's like, hey, I want to build a gator park.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Anybody, any applicant can come in, you know, from anywhere, you know, and that type of thing. But they want to do something in Lowell Township.
Okay.
Then the township decides, well, okay, who's going to handle this? Or in other words, where does it go next?
What committee?
You're right.
Okay.
Many times it comes to the planning commission. The advisory committee is something special just for this data center thing. Yes. But it comes to the planning commission, who then does the research and the investigation and makes judgments regarding the request, whatever it may be. We have an advisory committee in this particular situation because we do not have an ordinance for data centers. So we need to build one of those, you know. But most of the time, we already have an existing ordinance, you know.
And those
So,
permit requests are public knowledge, or are those something that you guys are handling internally?
No.
And then as you make decisions, they become.
no,
I
because-
just don't understand, to be
right.
completely honest.
the normal flow is that it comes to the planning commission and it's discussed at open meetings, at our regular meetings, you know. Now, and it may take one meeting, it may take 2 or 3 meetings before it gets to a certain point. But at a certain point in time, then the planning commission has, they have public hearings and that kind of thing, and they make a decision, if you will, that this is what we want to pursue and make a recommendation to the township board. Because generally speaking, everything that we do is recommendation and goes to the township board. Not everything, but something like this it would. And then it goes to the township board. So, and they make that final decision. So it's all of it, what happens here, it has to go through that process. And if it comes to the planning commission, we don't like it. We just don't like it.
Yeah.
We cannot say, we don't like it and and you're done. We can say, we don't like it, and that's what our recommendation is going to be to the township board. But you have to give them the right to go through that entire process.
Okay.
That's simply.
Yeah, that is perfect. That helps me a whole bunch. Even if it's, so again, back to my random Gator Park analogy, even if it's something that's so outside of anything that we could do, environmentally support, right? We can't have alligators here. You'd still have to at least say, no, we can't do this because XYZ, we recommend that you turn it down.
We got to give them their opportunity.
That is perfect. Thank you so much. That helps me.
Okay. All right. AW.
Hey, so this is a question about the My Storage Great Lakes discussion. We didn't really know what you were discussing about the storage facility. So earlier in the agenda, when it was an agenda item, we didn't know what to talk about. We didn't know they're going to discuss a special use permit for a U-Haul storage facility or storage rental at that site. Make any sense at all?
Special use permit.
Right? So they have a special use permit today that you're going to modify, modify to allow for a U-Haul rental facility.
Exactly.
We didn't know that when we saw this on the agenda where it says My Storage Great Lakes discussion. The reason why I'm saying that, Dave, is they already are running U-Hauls out of there.
That's what brought the red flag on.
So why are you not doing a cease and desist until they're allowed to do it? Right now, they can just continue to do it.
That's true. That's true.
So when we turn around and look at Microsoft, what would stop them from doing something they wanted to do and continue to do it until you had a discussion that says discussion on the agenda? It's later going through the process.
I don't know.
I mean, it's a small item at a storage facility where Steve was at, but it pertains to how this planning commission conducts business with businesses. Does it not? Am I not making any sense?
Well,
you're allowing them to conduct a non-approved process or business until you have a discussion down the road about it.
You know, Rob, I think that's a fair statement.
Okay.
And while I'll say that, we do have an enforcement officer that I know what this is kind of about from when, the agenda packet come out and this and that. I seen the thing over there. I'm not the enforcement.
Has Mark cited him yet?
I'm not the enforcement officer. So I think that question does need to be brought up to Mark. I'll be seeing him tomorrow. I'll be glad to ask that.
And they're doing a violation.
About why he's not said something to him about it. I mean, it's not like they built a big building there. He's got 3-4 trucks. You just got to get them off site until we get this resolved. And I agree with what you're saying.
And the 3 trucks and 3 trailers, that's not going to happen. Look at the car wash. They had 15, 16.
That's exactly why I asked them how many they were going to have.
Got it.
And they told me that is the maximum that they are going to have, 3 and 3. And if we approve this proposed or requested amendment, that will be a condition. In other words, you only get 3 trailers and you only get 3 vehicles, period.
Yep. So next topic, either Carlton or Mark, and I'm sorry, didn't catch who said it, but one of you said how we stop Microsoft is through this ordinance. Am I correct?
Carlton.
Okay, so for clarification for the people who are in the audience.
I don't know. Did anybody up here say that?
But
all right.
So for clarification, currently today, through the Renewable Energy Ordinance, data centers are permitted use with an IPUD. It's in the ordinance. They have a space to go if they want to build a data center. This is not a Saline issue. It's not an exclusionary zoning issue. They have a space to go that they don't want because they don't want to follow the regulations of the IPUD. So how you stop this is you tell them, no, we're not going to rezone, and no, we're not going to do a text amendment change because you have a home that you don't like. Because you want it bigger, better, taller, whatever. The ordinance is all fine and dandy, but you already have a mechanism and a pathway to tell them no. And tell this audience that that's not true is a lie. You haven't. We have spent hours and hours and hours with attorneys researching this. We looked at Saline, we looked at Augusta, we looked at with Micah Myers, with Foster Swift, all the big players that represent most municipalities in Michigan. We also found out that Lowell is only the one of 80 that haven't approved a moratorium. But there's already a pathway to tell Microsoft, you're entertaining them. I've been told that Microsoft wrote the draft and gave it to this committee. That's the baseline that you're negotiating off of with the community members. If that happened, that's unethical. You're giving them what they want and finding a way to talk around it to approve it. You have a home today to say, you want a data center in Lowell Township, you go to this IPUD, Covenant Business Park, 237 acres, not the additional houses, and you build it there with those restrictions. You don't like it? Pound sand.
I guess, Rob, I don't follow what you're saying on that.
Yeah.
You know, as far as whether you're saying they don't like that home there, so they want to change that home. You're still talking about the same spot, right?
I'm
still
talking about the same
piece of land.
parcel of land that they have a permitted use for today in the IPUD. You guys added it underneath the solar ordinance in 2025. We didn't know about it, but luckily that actually is going to work in our favor because you gave them a home to go to.
Wow.
They can build there today under the height restrictions and the setbacks and the mixed use with retail and commercial. They said at the open house that they don't want to do that. They want the whole space and then some with higher buildings, less of a setback. So you can tell them no. You don't have to rezone this, and you don't have to change the text amendment to allow it in any light industrial district in the township. I don't understand why we're saying.
What would concern me if there's already something in there and you're saying that they could already build the thing. Why, I just feel that this, if we put what the citizens have told us to put and what we've researched to put in this,
no,
it's going to be, I think, a lot tighter because, you know, you're reading it a different way, I guess.
No, they have a permitted, this committee, this commission added data centers to the zoning ordinance as a permitted use within the IPUD. You did this.
The IPUD expired.
It
expired.
When did it expire?
I don't know exactly.
Because you added it as a permitted use in the last 12 months. March.
I don't know.
Well, let us look that up, Ron, because we want to let's try to stay cordial.
Yeah, and I am, but what I'm trying to explain is that
some of these things we may not have the answer for you on, you know,
correct,
and if you're going to put us on the spot, then it's not going to.
Telling the community the way that you can say no is by the ordinance isn't accurate.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Ashton, Lowell Township resident. I'm just trying to, I guess, trying to echo what was just said. The data center ordinance is based on a premise of data centers being accepted in light industrial. Could you confirm, like, the way the ordinance is drafted today, is it allowing for data centers in light industrial specifically? Is that the premise of the ordinance, that permitted land uses will be specific to light industrial? Is that the scope of the ordinance today?
I think that's where it's gonna be, yeah.
Okay. So it's already based on a premise of approving and accepting Microsoft's request for rezoning to light industrial, when today the IPUD is more restrictive.
Well, we're not really saying that we're approving anything. We're not approving anything. We're working on an ordinance for data centers.
We're not even evaluating anything that Microsoft wants. We're putting an ordinance together to protect the community. That's our goal at this point.
But it's based on a premise of allowing data centers in light industrial zoning districts, which today they are not. They're only allowed in the planned use development zoning district, which is more restrictive than the zoning by right of light industrial. So
Well,
we're stripping community protections at the premise.
No.
Whatever outcome of the data center ordinance, whatever the outcome is, it strips the community of all the PUD protections which are in place
The
currently
PUD ordinance has expired.
and can be renewed.
I'm sorry.
And the whole reason the I-96 PUD in Chapter 15 and IPUD in Chapter 16 was put in place was specifically to avoid zoning by right. Now that's what you're trying to do with this ordinance, is allow zoning by right in light industrial.
Well, no, I don't think that's true.
Are you saying that because, how so?
It might be allowed by special use permit.
Our understanding is that that's not permissible because it already has a defined place in the IPUD district. Data centers are an allowable.
The IPUD zoning district is expired.
But still applicable. That's why you're trying to rezone it to light industrial, and it can remain. And it's expressed
it's not making
in the
sense to
zoning
me.
ordinance Chapter 15 and in the master plan.
You know, Ashton, I think whatever's going to be the most restrictive out there for a data center, that's the route I want to go. So
Then keep
you
it as
want
an-
to, we
then
want to,
keep
we
it
want
as an
to,
IPUD.
do we want to try to measure back and forth when it expired, when it didn't expire? You
Hear
know,
me
to
out.
me, that's irrelevant.
Hear me out though. The data center ordinance, the details, the restrictions that you're trying to work through, okay. Make those applicable in IPUD, not light industrial.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Melissa Tischler. I'm from Lowell Township. And I basically was going to do what Ron said and Ashton says. Yeah, I understand that IPUD has expired. But if you go through the history, they have renewed that. And it can be renewed. So if you're going to do ordinances, as Ashton suggested, you should be doing it under the IPUD. I have read in the ordinances and stuff for Lowell Township, IPUD versus light industry. And light industry takes away a whole lot of protections compared to the IPUD that was currently there. So I make the suggestion of looking at that IPUD. They have a place to build under that. You can say, we're not going to rezone it light industrial. If you want to come, we're sticking to the IPUD that the citizens agreed upon and to what those restrictions are. And then the other thing I wanted to get to was about the emails, and I think he brought that up. What was not mentioned on the 46 emails that were in support of, there was only one registered voter in Lowell Township The rest did not live here, and some of those people lived in Ohio. So for transparency's sake, I just thought I would let the people remaining here know. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Heidi Nagel. I am a Lowell Township resident. I have been a Lowell Township resident for 14 years, which as my husband and I were coming in, I realized this is the longest I have lived in a location anywhere in my life. So I feel like a townie. I want to address what, and I can't read, is it Mr. Force, Greg? I want to address what you said about the Flint Public Library water crisis. I am a former resident of the city of Flint. I lived there before the water crisis for about 3 years, and I have many good friends who still live there and lived through the water crisis. I just want to clarify that what happened was not a decision by the city of Flint representatives. Governor Snyder had appointed an executor who made that decision to defer the water, and that instituted the crisis. My reason for making that clarification is that it was not the city of Flint, it was not the local representatives. When the local community abdicates their responsibility to their citizens is when you get into these kind of problems. So I know this process is arduous, but it is what we are expecting of you to keep that decision locally, because we are the ones who understand the stewardship of this property. And what happens when you don't is exactly what happened to the poor residents of the city of Flint.
And I think my point was misconstrued. So I know there was an executor, there were other city officials involved in the decision. But my point is that our purpose here is to write the type of ordinance so that that doesn't happen.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I do understand that.
That was my point.
I just wanted to also kind of
But
confirm.
I also heard
Yeah.
the Flint water thing being used in the same context as big corporations. And
But I
wanted to
think
clear-
that there
I
is
wanted
some
to
merit
set
to that where
separate.
you can say big corporations or the state of Michigan are outside entities with a lot of money and a lot of power who can influence decisions at a local level that are not working on behalf of those local residents.
Yeah, and we could debate that at another time, all that you would like. But my point was that we want to write an ordinance so that that can't happen.
And we want you to, because we
So
want you to
that's
represent
why-
us.
That's
Yeah.
why I interjected.
Thank you.
So, okay.
Tristan Harrington, Lowell Township resident. First, Greg, I know this is painful. I know I can just.
I'm sorry that I ever spoke tonight.
But I do want to say that I appreciate your willingness first to keep yourself open mind and to do your due diligence to get into all the details to truly understand the issue. So I'm not going to sit
Well,
there
I
and say,
just, I don't need, I'm not looking to defend myself, but my point to the person who spoke before that doesn't feel I should be in this role, that's fine. This is America. But I'm listening and I have been listening. But I'm maybe not the smartest guy on this panel, but I like to learn things. I don't like to just hear them and then act on them. I like to learn them. For instance, I went to Kentucky and sat outside a data center and I heard some hum. But then I have spent a ton of time outside Switch in Gaines Township and I haven't heard any hum. So to me, now I want to figure out why is it humming and why is one not humming? And is there something we can do in an ordinance? Whether I want a data center or not is irrelevant. I want to know enough to participate in writing the best ordinance that we can.
Right, and I appreciate that.
And I have to do that the way that I do it. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry that displeases some people.
Yeah. Thank you. Because I appreciate what you guys are doing because you're not fighting this fight. You're fighting the next 10 fights. And so you're trying to make sure you understand it and you can deal with it, not just for this one, but for whoever else comes down the road. Now, I had one question earlier. You were talking about you guys write the ordinance, you send it to the township. The township doesn't like it. Do they have to send it back to you for reconsideration or can they amend it without sending it back?
I would think that it would be a matter of degree. In other words, if it's a minor amendment, they can do it on their own. But if it's going to be major, or a lot of times they say we don't like something, and let the planning commission figure it out. And then they send it back to us, you know, and then we do
So
our
that's the
thing.
only concern that I would have is what do they consider minor tweaks and what would they consider
It-
major?
and I can't give you an
semantic-
answer
No,
on
and I
that.
understand that, but I just want to understand that process. So I appreciate that. The fire protection, I think, is a key piece. My cousins are all fire chiefs and firemen and my nephews and stuff, so I appreciate that. I don't know what, as far as electricity use and what you guys can do as far as that goes. So I think that's something to figure out. I do want to know though, when the decision is made to put the pipe in, you know, for whatever pipe for water, who sets that decision and who sets how big that can be? Is that going to be the city then that does that?
That's gonna be determined by a lot of things.
Okay.
It'll be determined by an engineering firm. It won't be determined by the township. The engineering firm, the township will hire an engineering firm. They're gonna look at, you know, are there gonna be a ton of residents that are gonna wanna hook up to it? Cause it's going right by a lot of homes. Is there gonna be subdivisions that wanna come out and tap into it?
But we will know, get an idea of how big a
Well,
pipe
yeah,
they're
I
going to
mean,
use.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Absolutely.
So in the ordinance, can you guys require monitoring of the groundwater? And as part of the condition of doing
I
it,
think that will be, it could be done, not by us, not by our ordinance as such. I think that might be part of this, I can't.
Development agreement.
Development agreement.
Okay.
See, that's another step.
Okay, so that's something we have to keep in mind. So when it gets to the development agreement, those are things that we're gonna wanna have them
Right.
include in that. Okay, I appreciate that. I do appreciate the commentary on the noise. It would be interesting to find out truly through your research, what is the level of, you know, and the pattern of standard noise that we deal with. And then what does the data center really generate and what's the delta, what's the difference between the two and what kind of impacts can we expect from that? I appreciate the comments on lighting because, you know, putting hoods and
Right.
other things you can do can really make a difference in the light pollution. I have a telescope. I've lived in Nevada. I know what dark skies really look like.
Right.
We don't have them, but I like to protect what we do have. And so that's pretty much so I appreciate everything, and I do believe that the meeting kind of started out boisterous. We calmed down. You guys, we'd be able to hear you guys. You guys were able to communicate. I think the frustration level dropped. So I appreciate, you know, that the whole dialogue that's taken place this evening. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Right.
Well, I thought I was going to be last, but my name's Matt. I'm actually a Boston Township resident. I just want to second what he just said. I'm on the fence of the data center. I went to the first one with Microsoft there, very disappointed in their presentation, our reaction. This, I needed. I needed this the way we are right now. One thing I would like to say as far as the advisory committee, it would be nice for some of the people that had things on the hearing and the noise and mental aspect of it. Take that to those 4 people that are public or Mark and let them talk about that in their side meetings or their meetings that they're going to. But again, I appreciate all you guys for doing it this way. It's much better.
Thank you.
Tyler Shepard, Lowell Township. I do just have a question. What specific measurable data metric in ADA compliance checklist are you requiring from data center developer before you vote for recommended project?
I don't know a single thing about any of that.
Such as,
Talked about it, yeah.
I'm sorry?
Are you gonna have ADA checklists? If you're gonna look into data center, is that your role?
If that's something that's required by Michigan law, then yes, we will.
Okay.
You know, I don't know nothing about
Okay.
that. I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah, I hope you take that serious. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Hi there. Couple things. The subsonic measurement, I'm going to do some homework on that. But there is a guy who did a presentation. I've got to rewatch it and stuff. But he recommended baseline measurements. So I would highly consider that.
And I saw that presentation also, but I couldn't tell from the presentation, and maybe you can help educate me, if those baseline measurements were practical in everyday life. I'm not talking about damage and stuff, but just baseline versus what we hear every day.
I mean, I think the one that I watch is he recommended picking various sites around the township. You measure those spots
Right.
pre-construction, very important.
Right.
And then down the line, you remeasure it, and then guess what? That can be,
Right, exactly.
that's your evidence.
I don't want to measure it afterwards. Yeah.
No, it has to be pre. You have to have the baseline.
Right,
Yeah.
but what I took from that is that if you measure the areas around, your baseline is going to be higher than where you need it to be. You know what I'm saying? Your baseline is going to be higher than where you need it to be. We want the baseline as low as we can get it. And if you measure the train crossing, an Alto and the trucks going by, and do you measure when Timpson's crushing concrete?
Yeah.
You're going to set up, I'm
I
not
think
saying
you'd have
I'm
to
right
hire-
about that.
I think you'd have to hire a specialist to do it.
Well, I know, but I don't want the baseline set high.
Yeah,
I want the
right.
baseline set
Right.
low, low, low.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's what I took from that when I
Yeah.
when I watched that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's why I'm still trying to learn about it. So.
Yeah, I think that's important. I'd like to hear a little bit of an explanation, just because I appreciate this format, and this is respectfully a question for Carlton. Why did you vote no on the moratorium?
Yeah, partly is because I think that we could hold the process up without, and still be able to listen to anything that Microsoft might want to tell us, or whatever, to help make an ordinance that just make the ordinance the best we can make one.
Okay. We've heard, there's evidence of what these big companies are doing other places. And Mark, you said if it gets any bigger, you're out. But that's what these companies are doing. You guys are gonna write the ordinance. They're gonna say you're gonna negotiate whatever. They're gonna come in for the 237 acres. As soon as the next day, that's gonna turn into 1,000 acres. That's happening everywhere. So you have no control over that happening.
Well, I believe we do.
How? I'd like to.
Because the property is already zoned different zoning districts.
The one next to it?
Yeah.
Well, They're gonna apply to rezone that, and you can't.
Guess what it
that.
is? It's no. We've
Then
already
they'll
supplied.
sue you.
We've already supplied. If we allowed a data center, we've already supplied it. They've come in and asked. That's the one they got. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. That's the amount of space you're getting. Don't come back in and ask for anything additional. Because you're right. You want to quote me on that? If they came in and the township decided that they're going to take and let them go bigger, then I'm done.
Well, that's great for you, but what about 5 years from now?
Well, then maybe you might want to keep maybe some people around.
Yeah.
All right.
So my name is Nicole Rhonda. I am a Lowell Township resident. We have been calling for months for something similar to Coffee with Council. Tonight, you guys opened it up with more dialogue, and look at how the tension dropped once that happened. I would love to see us do something like Punch with Planning Commission or, something like that, because these dialogues are more productive. Also, to address if it gets any larger, this started as 237 acres. It's not that anymore. It's 290 almost. And on the June 6th meeting, that I live streamed, and I have it documented. Microsoft said, yes, this would be phase 1. That was what they said. They already have plans to expand this.
And you heard that at the barn?
Yes,
Congratulations, because I couldn't hear nothing.
I have it all. Yes, and and I have all of these recorded.
I think.
So
No, wait,
Explain
now,
that.
no, wait, because I think I was asking that question. I could be wrong about this, but I was asking, because they're gonna have,
they're going to start with the first building, and yes,
that's
but
phase 1.
no, that's not the way he termed it.
Oh, okay, then I misunderstood.
The way he was twisting things, he also said data centers don't cause cancer. Well,
okay.
So they're being very manipulative with how they're terming things. And that night, I heard so much twisting and spin. As someone that has the degree in marketing, the amount of spin I heard, I was going right round.
Okay.
But Nicole, can you go back to the first part? You made the statement of this is only phase 1. What do you mean by that?
Microsoft said, yes, this complex would be phase 1.
Well, what's going to be phase 2?
What's phase 2?
That's what we're asking. They will buy more land.
No, they're not going to get no more. They're not going to get any more.
That's what you're saying right now.
They're not going to get any more.
But what are you going to do? Tell them they can't buy the next farm?
That's right.
This is the problem. They're opening us up to a slippery slope.
The next piece is even zoned.
They're not.
You see,
They're
that's
not.
it.
They're not. None of them are zoned
once
that way.
they're here, they have the threat.
Let them
Then
threaten.
they have us buy the nads.
Look at Gaines Township.
Whole
Gaines
different creature.
Township
Whole different creature over there.
No, it's not.
Well,
That's
in your opinion, it isn't. In my opinion, it is. So.
Well,
Okay,
so we'll go on to a couple other things. We've seen this in multiple places. So this is why I think that continuing dialogue like this would be useful. I really encourage that. The Flint water, you said that Flint tapped into the river and they pumped contaminated water, and that is a falsehood. It was more acidic water that then the leadership in charge did not want to pay for the proper anti-corrosives to be put into the pipes, into the water when they ran it through their water treatment system, which led to the lead pipes leaching the lead. So it is a failure on the people in charge. Tornadoes, was that my 3 minutes or 5? 3. Okay, so someone mentioned tornado concerns with the data centers. We are seeing a lot more of these. And what about all these diesel generators that they want to put outside? But they say, okay, it's going to take 10 years to build a building, but they don't have enough supply to do natural gas cleaner generators. Yeah, that's a crock of something. There again, spin. Diesel generators are cheaper. They're easier to maintain, yet they are much more polluting. They have to be run more often. And so Microsoft cannot honestly tell me that they cannot get the number of natural gas generators they would need. They want to go cheap. And those diesel generators being exterior, when a tornado comes through, which we know they come along that I-96 corridor quite often, those are going to put a large number of homes and businesses at risk should one of those get picked up, thrown, and then you have diesel spilled everywhere. As someone that actually is an emergency responder, this concerns me a lot. I've worked with the fire departments. I already know that they're overtaxed, and we're already making use of our cooperative agreements with other departments coming to help out in Lowell Township. You're going to be taxing not only our system, but unlike, our illustrious township supervisor, I believe that Cascade is part of our community. Ada is part of our community. He may not believe that they're part of our community, but when Their fire departments are the ones responding to help our community. We need to take that into consideration also.
Great.
And as far as the Z-wave the subsonic sound, I am actually a health coach that studies things like that, and the taxing amount on our vagus nerve, which will affect people, especially affect people with chronic conditions, is amazing. What you want to look at is Z frequency monitoring. Thank you.
Molly,
That wasn't so bad, was it?
you might be the walk-off
Am I
act.
I usually,
Oh.
I think I try to do that. I don't
Oh.
know. You guys know I'm the one that brought up Dowagiac, right? Because my brother lives there, and he and I like to spar a little bit. His first reaction when I called him, I said, "Yeah, what's going on? Are you know, what that?" He said, well, you know, he lives a mile or two from the site. And he said, I don't really hear it. Of course, he works nights and he sleeps days, whatever. So he drove by and he said it just wasn't a big deal. Well, he called me about a week and a half later. And again, he's my big brother and he always likes to win. And he kind of sheepishly said, you know, I get it. Because when you drive by, it's really not that big of a deal. But when you live next to it and you're trying to sleep, that's when it really, you know, becomes irritating. And some people are more sensitive to that noise than others. But I want to explain to you, you asked a really good question. Why don't we hear that noise from the pyramid? And I think that's a really common, or no, it's an important question, right? Because the technology inside the building is different. So what's in the pyramid are CPUs. And this is what happened in Dowagiac. When that data center was built, it was built for cloud computing. It was CPUs. It wasn't a problem for 3 years. It was not a problem. Well, they were able to change over to become an AI computing facility without telling the city. What was going on inside the building was their business. And that's when it became a problem. So when it went from CPUs, cloud computing, to GPUs, which is AI computing, that's when they had the noise problem. Just a couple little tiny comments here. I've had a fair amount of conversation with Eagle, not about this situation, but I know that Eagle's mandate comes from the governor, and their mandate right now is very pro-business. They're wonderful people, they're smart people, but their mandate is very pro-business. They do not permit regionally. We've got a cluster of data centers, right? Several being built on the same corridor, and Eagle's not required to take all of it into consideration. And I don't know if you know, but I think we have the 25th worst air quality in the country. Has anybody looked at that statistic recently? So we're looking at adding to what is already a marginal air quality. So I urge you, as you do studies, or if the township pays for studies, don't use Microsoft's people. And people who are locally, and I apologize to your planning expert here, but people here locally do not have the experience and expertise that they need in order to advise you on a development of this scale. There is nothing here that has prepared anyone in this region to advise you on that. So look for people who have experience with this scale of development. That's all. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Hi, Jeanette Stevenson again from Lowell Township. I wanted to say thank you to each of you that were able to come out and help, whether it was in the pre-planning or volunteering during Lowell's Bridge Fest. It was a great event. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of sponsors that really helped make that whole thing happen. I'm still working on numbers, but it was well over 3,000. I'm very confident in that. We've had really, really great reviews. I'm not sure if this comment should be addressed to the board or the planning commission, but based on public comments tonight and at previous meetings, it sounds like there is a need for further clarification on how some township residents get their water from the city and what the future looks like for those residents, whether it's their water rates or where their water is going to be coming from. And also, I think clarification on what the 425 agreement is with the city. I think if there's some way to put out some sort of information with the facts, that would be helpful for people. I don't remember the specifics, but it was a few years back when there was someone that came he was looking for information about, basically to see if it was possible to have a glamping site over near the old, the old vet clinic on 21. And they were looking to see if that was going to be possible. And I remember you guys talking about how there were concerns about toilets and getting them out there and driving an ATV out there. Was it going to be too wet because it's a wetland area? And so that came to mind tonight, as well as Dollar Tree and Aldi. When they first wanted to build where they are now, they came to you guys. And there was discussion about how the water was going to be able to slide off away from the building and where the water is going to pool at. Number of parking spots, bushes, trees. I remember there were variances for Dollar Tree as to how many trees or parking spots, something like that. I know Aldi had to have a variation for their number of parking spots. Things like that. I don't know if people understand the process of how that works. I think most people in the public have been coming to these meetings lately and they're just concerned about, they're mainly voicing concerns about a data center, and they don't understand the whole scope of what this commission does. Again, I don't know if that's something that's able to be put out there, but I think it might be helpful to streamline things going forward. I'm going to take a big leap here. Do I have a few minutes still? Is that 3 minutes on there? Okay. I'll probably go almost well, we'll see. Regarding the recall petitions for 3 members of our township board. Without Jerry Hale, Mark Anderson, and Bill Thompson, this whole community, not just Lowell Township, would look so significantly different than it does today. I wish people could separate their feelings about data centers from their feelings about how they think these 3 elected officials are doing their job. People have also mentioned tonight and at other meetings that they rarely hear or see people that are in opposition to these hot topics such as data centers. Based on my own personal conversations with residents in our community, there are many people that feel in favor or feel neutral about a data center. I don't want this statement to be taken as my own opinion, that I'm for or against data centers, because that's irrelevant to this conversation right now that I'm having with you. The main reason they're not speaking out publicly is because they're scared of going against what appears to be a loud group of very upset people. I think I'm going to leave it at that tonight. Thanks.
My name's Terry. I live in Lowell Township. My name is Terry. I live in Lowell Township for 44 years. And this doesn't really have anything to do with you. You don't even have to set the clock. My wife and I have sent 5 emails to township board members. On that list that was out there, one of them is registered. The other 4 are lost somewhere, and they happen to be against the data center. So I do question how that list, how accurate that list is, because just in my family, 4 out of 5 negative emails have been lost. And I have some skin in the game because I live directly across the street from the west end of this development. It's going to be right there. I'll be able to spit to it, maybe even. So I just question how that, I just want to go on record questioning how that's all set up for and against and the email thing. Don't know what happened to them. Thank you very much.
Question, sir, were those 5 like, the same one sent 5 times, or were they 5 different ones?
5 different ones, and they were sent to either Jerry or Monica or Rhonda. And we just expressed our dislike.
Well, they read the minutes, and so, and your name was again?
Terry.
Terry. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Hello, Mike Barnes again. Just want to let you know, when the water lines go through, I'm gonna have monetary loss. Because it's gonna go right through our septic system. And I have a feeling the house, the degradation of the foundation of the house is at jeopardy. So I would like the engineering firm to have a stiff talk with me. When the county widened the road last time, they said they're gonna do this, they did that. So,
Okay.
so just let you know.
All right. Okay, thanks, Mike.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. No more? All right. I am closing the public input for communications not on the agenda. Next item on the agenda is commissioner comments. Greg, do you have any parting comments? Anything?
Not really, outside of having Mark step up and make comments, so appreciate it.
You want me to?
Well, you can make more comments.
Yeah, okay.
Well, you're the one that talked me into it. No, I just would like to, from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to thank everybody, and hey, sorry this whole thing got off to a crappy start, and I guess I maybe want to apologize for the board, I even went right up to the Microsoft guy out at the barn, and I said, guy, I says, the most thing that you could do to try to get this community to at least listen to you is apologize for how you started this thing. And it was kind of hard to hear out there and so forth. And from what I could hear, I never heard him say it. And that really let me down with him, when I asked him personally to apologize to the public, and so I think if they come back, the first words out of their mouth, they're sorry about how this thing has started. And I want you to know that, if we can carry on a dialogue like this at our planning commission meetings, I'm all for it. I might get some repercussion from some of the other people on this, so that it took a long time, but I think everybody's on board with this. As long as we can keep it, non-attacking of each other, and let's do this, and heck, we'll be out of here in an hour and a half. So, other than that, that's all I got.
Okay, very good. Okay. Planning commissioners, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to
Do
adjourn.
I have a second?
Yep.
Moved and second to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We're adjourned. Thank you very much, folks.
Yes.